we are live. Can you hear me?
Yo, yo, yo.
There we go. Perfect. Hey guys, welcome in. This is a surprise. Wasn't expecting to do this, but just felt like it was necessary today. Got a fun topic that we're going to get into. I'm going to do this a little bit different. I'm here with TruthNoLie, who is stepping in as my co-host today.
What's shaking, everybody? What's shaking? Y'all know the vibes.
And by the way, just to be clear, we are on Discord in the stages arena. So you can jump in the Discord, which is pinned at the top of the chat, and you can jump in on the stage and hear us in real time with no delay. And you can also raise your hand to try to talk to us once we get into this subject, because we're going to start it off and then we'll probably open it up to talk to some people and get your take. Hot takes.
Get it.
Sound like a plan?
I'm with it. I'm with it.
So in case anybody is not aware, by the way, welcome in everybody. I see you all in here. Ricochet is in here. I know I saw Reese earlier, DK, Casey, Jared's in here, TD Freelancer's in here, Bridget's in here. Appreciate all y'all coming through. Drizzle's in here. Honestly, this is a last minute thing. It looks a little ratchet. You know why? Because it's a last minute thing.
That's how we do. It is what it is.
It's on brand, y'all. Okay. But so the whole point is, let me get to the topic and kind of give our little disclaimer about it, at least mine. Let me start off with a disclaimer. This is going to be a volatile topic. In no way, shape, or form is anybody going to say anything that is hateful, disgusting, nasty, or slur. Like, that's not allowed. We're not doing that. We're not bringing hate to this platform. It's all about having a real discussion and positivity. We don't need anybody to get nasty with us, or about the topic. And that includes the chat. The chat behave.
Hey.
On top of that, there's specific topics that this kind of leans into that we will discuss, and we will make it clear what we're talking about, but we're not going to name it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You're not going to name everything. You'll understand. The same with the Kofifi, right? I think artists called it the vitamin C in order to, just not bring any more attention than we really need, right? Because this one's going to be fun. Cool?
What you said? Kofifi.
Yeah.
What is that?
That's what Gothics used to call COVID.
Oh. I'm like, what? Okay.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to jump in and actually have a conversation with us after a little while, then please jump in the Discord. Feel free to put your hand up like we did on the support one. So anyway. Sound like a plan?
All right. Yeah, I'm with it. Let's go.
Okay. So if anybody wasn't aware, I'm not going to post the links to the video here. You can look it up yourself. This whole topic started with the Christina Aguilera monster bedazzled dildo thing. That's what this is all about. And if any of y'all haven't seen it, there's a thread in the Discord. You can go back, scroll up, and you can see the videos. One's like 49 seconds. There's one from Turning Point USA. You can watch. It's like a minute and something, real quick. Get you caught up. So I
had to check it out.
Yeah, see, I guess basically what happened was there was a Pride concert of some sort, and Christina Aguilera was there. It was labeled as like family friendly. There was no disclaimer like this is adult content. There was nothing. So anyone walking by or who would have come with maybe their children, their grandparents, doesn't matter, could have been there, right? She comes out, and from what I've seen, I didn't go looking for any more. I don't think I need to see more than the 49 seconds. She comes out with a strap on, bejeweled green ogre Shrek dick in her performance. And then not only that, but she implies that she's doing, taking care of herself if she was a dude, which she's not. But if she was, she's like implying she's making the motions, and there's people on their knees in front of her while she's doing it. I don't know what that has to do with the movement or the pride thing. I don't know what that has to do with anything. I don't know how those two are related. Like, I didn't think swinging big dildos equaled rights for anybody, but okay. So that's what all this stems from, is the fact that she did something like this in front of in an event where there are families and children present, right? Which there's a two sides to this. The first side is what the fuck, and the second side is who the fuck lets their family stand there and watch this, right? And that's kind
That
of,
was a paid event. Because if that was a paid event, you know, people gonna finish the show what they paid for. You know, if that's the case, I'm sure it probably was a paid event. I doubt if it was free, but could have been.
no, and I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I haven't done much more research. I don't think it needs more research than for me to see that, see that there are no stops in place to be like, okay, so for example, if you're going to go to a Rammstein concert, right? You know there's going to be some fuckery and shenanigans on stage that are inappropriate and adults only, right?
Yep.
So if you purchase that ticket, you're not allowed to bring underage kid. You can't. It's not. You can't do that.
Right.
They actually have a disclaimer, and they say like, if you're epileptic, if you can't handle pyrotechnics, if you're offended, then don't fucking show up. That's how that works. But this situation is the lack of a disclaimer, the lack of, and don't tell me that the venue didn't freaking know. They fucking knew. They knew exactly, because they do dress rehearsals like where nobody's stupid. We know what they do.
Right.
They knew this was going to happen. They knew that's what she was going to do. Putting aside,
Maybe.
well, unless she completely out of the blue was like, oh, you know what? I did dress rehearsal in like a really pretty gown, and now I'm going to put a strap on live stage. Cool, cool. That makes sense. And then, the fuck?
I don't know. I think like if it was a kid friendly event that was way left field, like that's crazy. But at the same time, everything is acceptable. Everything is acceptable. And then this gay pride month thing, like, hey man, you like who you like, that's all good and everything. But the way they put out this gay pride and like, you know, it's just, to me, I think it's like over the top. I think they go too hard with this gay pride month thing. Like, hell, these burgers got different color buns and all type of crazy shit for this month, right?
Yeah.
And you know, not to go too far in left field with it, but we don't get nothing like this for Black History Month. Like, you hardly even hear anything about Black history during February.
Okay, I'm going to play off of that a little bit. Here's why. I see it non-stop. I get told on Amazon, these are the Black owned shops that you should purchase your items from above anyone else. I get the Netflix, you need to watch these because this is, you know, Black History Month and we're focusing on this. They also do this for like Asian Islander History Month. Like they do that. Netflix does on the multiple months. Amazon like was giving kickbacks for that. I still see it on there where they're like, this is a Black owned shop, therefore we give it a higher rate. And it says it in the disclaimer. So like I see it a lot only because it's not something I usually click on. I just don't care who owns the shop as long as like it's the best price. Like I don't care.
I don't think you see it a lot unless you like on Amazon and YouTube a lot. I mean Amazon and Netflix a lot. But like outside of, you know, Netflix got a little dedicated, okay, here go a bunch of movies that you can watch that's Black people. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
That's cool, right? Big deal. Amazon, yeah, okay, man. You know, this Black owned. See, I like that. That's cool. But I'm saying as far as how they put out Gay Pride Month, this shit is crazy. It's everywhere. Like, it's okay to be gay, bro. Like we figured that out a long time ago. It's all right.
It is. Yeah, I agree.
Like, it's fine. You don't have to go above and beyond to, you know, like, it's Gay Pride Month. Cool. Okay, celebrate it, all that. But it's everywhere. Like, it's parades and shit. It's parades and concerts and all. Like Black History in February, it's none of that.
Yeah.
It's none of that. Like people was going out of their way to create meals and all type of crap. Like, listen, bro, you can be gay. It's cool. It's all right. And then like things like what Christina Aguilera did was, it's a headline.
Yeah.
Right. I did this for the shock value.
Yes.
But it's okay because I'm a chick with a dick. Because it's Gay Pride Month. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that they go too far with some of this stuff, and they don't tone it down, and everything is acceptable. Everything is everywhere. You know, they got cartoons that's gay. Like kids gonna grow up knowing what it is at 5 years old.
Yep.
So like it's when somebody say like, man, tone it down, that don't mean we against you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay. But damn, I may not want my child to be exposed to this yet.
Exactly. And see,
you know what I'm saying?
That's the thing. That's, I guess, what my issue is more than anything, right? Is that, let's just put it in a different context. Let's say that there was a man on stage, drop trowel, there's this pecker on stage in front of a, quote, not adult only event, right? You just know it's gonna go nuts. You know, people are going to be up in arms. They're gonna be going crazy because that's not okay. You don't just, if someone's on my street corner, you can't just expose yourself or walk around with a dildo on my street corner. Someone's gonna turn the hose on you. Like, no. But to do it on a public, very public stage and without a disclaimer, letting people know so that you are allowed the choice to say, you know what, this is not what I want for my, and that I'm specifically saying kids because adults, you can choose to walk away. Your kids are stuck there with you, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're trying to, you know, be decent and you've decided this is not the time to expose them to this level, but you kind of want them to be accepting and you think this is a good venue to teach them, right? And you get there and someone's up there with a dildo on stage, it's like, is that the level that you wanted? Now, if that was the level you chose to bring your child to, that's, as a parent, that technically is your choice. I disagree with it, but okay. I'm not going to hate on anyone. You can wear the dildo. Just fucking tell someone. Let them know this is we're going to be exposing you to adult content like sexual, sex shop, back room, black curtain, back of Blockbuster where you're not allowed to go, right? That shit we're going to put right in front of everyone.
Well, she was wearing shit this whole weekend is what I seen. She wore some shit that had big ass combs over her titties and all kind of shit. But what you're saying is under the assumption that everybody knew what she was going to wear, right?
Well,
but
I'm assuming that I'm going from the assumption that generally they do a dress rehearsal prior to the event. They pick out their costumes. They've got it all lined up. It's usually pretty. They register. They know where their costume. Like they go through all that, the process before a stage. And given the topic of the concert, I'm not surprised that because you see people in leather straps and leashes and things, and kids are on the side while they're parading down, mimicking sexual actions and things in front of them. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that it was too far-fetched to think they knew about it.
Yeah, you could be right. But regardless, regardless if they knew or if they didn't, the thing is, what's next? So what is to come from this? If it's of no consequence, then why are we talking about it? See, and that's the problem, because everything is acceptable. Like the gay pride and this shit, it's just everything is acceptable. If you look at somebody for too long, oh my God, you offended me. It's so out of hand that you got men playing women's sports. I identify as such and such. Like, that shit is cool, but it ain't cool though. Like I identify as whatever. Like, bro, I'm gonna go steal some shit, right? I'm gonna go rob this bank. So when the cops come, I'm gonna tell their ass I identify as innocent. Goddamn, leave me alone.
Oh,
And it should be cool.
I see you, Jen.
It should be cool.
Sorry about that, hun. She sent a dono, and I missed it because I was looking at the stages and not at my screen. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. She says I'm too far and I'm always to blame. Showing love to elsewhere and the amazing individuals who are here. Shout out to everybody that came over here from Nick's channel. Appreciate y'all. Keep going, Truth. Sorry. I just really I realized that was like, I don't know, like 5 minutes ago. My bad.
Oh no, it's all good. Appreciate you, Jen. You already know.
Yeah.
You already know. But yeah, as far as like, you know, like I said, I think this gay pride thing just going way out of hand, and you know, trans, not even a trans. Just because you wear some makeup and shit don't make you trans. I don't. I mean, people might try to. Hey man, that's just how I feel. Like you wear makeup, bro, you still a goddamn man. It is what it is. You ain't out here like you ain't here doing shit against women, and it's okay. Men beating the hell out of women, and it's just crazy. And then if you call somebody, I watched something the other day. It was like a little clip where a man went in the store, did something, whatever, and the little cashier or whatever was like, "Hey, excuse me, sir." "Oh my God, you call me a sir?" But bro, you got a full ass beard, bro. Like, what the fuck he's supposed to say? Like, what is he supposed to say? Like that shit crazy, and then he'll fuck around and get fired. The cashier get fired because you was discriminating. Like, bro, that shit is crazy, bro. I think they taking this shit way too far. That's how I feel. It's not equal about a man taking advantage of a woman in a woman's sport or a woman's field. Like that shit ain't equal.
Right.
So, you know, if everything is based around equality, then how the fuck is that equal? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a damn what you identify as. It's what you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what it is. But I don't know, man. The world is so sensitive only because we cater to the sensitivity.
No, exactly.
And that's the reason.
No, exactly. Because the thing is like, when it comes down to it, okay, I don't care if behind closed doors in your house, I don't care if it's in your front room, I don't care if it's in your private backyard, right, where nobody else got to see that shit. You want to walk around, I don't care. I'm not kink shaming. I don't care. Do you want to walk around in a diaper and have somebody spank you with a wooden spoon? Feel free. Do your thing. You want to dress up in any clothes that you want, whether it be any kink in the whole wide world, do it. Do what you want. Be who you want to be. But the thing is you don't get to say, well, I like this, therefore you have to just deal with it. That's what I have a problem with. I don't believe that I should have to, for example, if I go on Pornhub and I click on specific content, it's because that's what I want to see. I don't want to see the content I don't click on. I don't want to see, woman on woman. That's not for me. I don't want to see,
some good ass scenes, bro. There's some good ass scenes. I'm just letting you know. It's definitely a lot of stuff they be doing that I think you might be interested in if you just give it a try.
I've heard that from a few people in my past. Tried it on anniversaries too. Was still not here for it. So, but the fact is, like, I don't click on, pregnant or old or like these different things that people do.
Yeah, I can't watch no pregnant shit. Yeah, that shit is a turn off.
Or like, any of the ones. If I don't click on it, that's because I'm like, that's not for me. It doesn't mean that like I hate on anyone, right? Like, do what you want. But then if I were to be on there and I wasn't allowed to move past a video that I didn't want to see because we say you have to. That's kind of how it feels. If that makes sense. It feels like it's you're told you don't have a choice. And you have to accept it. You have to watch it, see it, accept it. Like on every show, there's all these boxes checked of people that are allowed to, be on there. They have to check off the box to please everybody. There's always a straight relationship, a gay relationship. There's an Asian person, a black person, a white person, and then someone's offended at every episode, like for most of the main shows. Like and you're stuck.
That's correct. Yeah.
But I think that's because the point. Is it's like,
well, you can't speak your mind.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can't speak your mind about gay pride, but I tell you what you can speak your mind about: racism, racist topics, and shit like that. Oh, that's okay,
Yeah.
right? Like that's okay. We could talk. We could disrespect you. We can disrespect your race and everything. That's okay. Like, it's not that big of a deal, you know. You can get over that. But if you call a man and he identifies as a woman, oh hell, you done fucked up. They
Yeah.
might fuck around and execute you.
It's one of those, I want everybody to be accepting as long as you accept what I want you to accept only. Like, you're allowed to think whatever you want as long as it's what I tell you to think. Like, you're not
Yeah.
like, you can't do anything else. And the thing is, like, there's certain people like that can't speak about different topics. It's like, if you're not part of that community, you can't speak on it. You're not allowed to, because you will get destroyed. And it's the same in many, many topics across, some were big topics back in the early 2000s. Religion was a big one then, right? You can't, there's certain things you can't speak about or you can speak about, and you were forced to, like, you're not allowed to say this or that. It's like, he says, oh, you can speak your mind only if it aligns with the masses. Anything regarding common sense is suddenly profiled. Yeah, because the thing is that I don't have to think anything that anybody else thinks. I could literally sit here and think that I am in a bubble on Pluto. And who the fuck are you to tell me different?
Well, if you identify like that you on Pluto instead of Earth, then you're right.
Well, yeah, but I don't expect anyone else to, like, agree
No,
with
it don't
me.
matter. If you identify that you on Pluto, then you are on Pluto. That's how it works, right? That's it.
That's exactly.
That's
And
how it works.
that's that whole sociology commentary, right? Where they talk about the new age thinking, which is my reality is the truth. And you say, well, what if your reality conflicts with my reality? And they say, well, you're just thinking the old way. You're not thinking, you're just not, you just don't know what you're talking about.
You're closed-minded. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no explanation. Because it doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. Even colorblind people know that there's certain colors that they're not seeing. They understand that there's a color there, even though they can't see it, right? Do you see colorblind? That's the next thing. Colorblind people are going to say, look, that's gray, bitches. Like, stop.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
colorblind isn't seeing black and white. I know that, y'all. Don't come at me.
But yeah.
But you get the point. But the thing is that really, like, whose fault is it? Is it the person that's up there waving a, schlong around and dancing on stage, or is it the people that are like, oh, this is okay?
It's the people who has the power to punish them somehow, some type of consequence. Maybe you're not going to get your full deposit back from the, or you're not able to perform here for a year, or whatever the case may be. Whoever is in the position of power to do something about it, that's who's to blame. Because it's like a parent, right? If a kid go do something, a kid 8 years old, 9, 10, and go do some crazy ass shit, you definitely going to blame the parent for not disciplining the child for doing whatever they did. So that's you got to blame somebody, but the somebody is the people who are the difference makers, and the difference makers in all of this shit is the people who can actually, okay, look, I'm gonna ban you. You can't come. You're not getting your full deposit back. This shit was not acceptable. Why did you do that? And if let's just base this off of your theory that they knew, right? The promoters or whoever of the event knew that she was going to do that. Then it comes down to the difference makers is the consumers.
Right.
So it's all right. Fuck that. You did that. I brought my kid here. We went. I didn't sign up for this, man. My daughter already. The world's already crazy as hell. Now she see this. She like, what is that? Whatever. So now you have to stop. You got to hit them where it hurts. And for anybody in the world, you hit them where it hurts in their pockets. So yeah, the rest of this tour, people got to back out. The next show or whatever. Oh no, we not supporting you. We not getting behind that. But it's Gay Pride Month. That shit is cool. It works. That's why. Like, is that's what I'm saying, man. And it all boils back down to all this shit, man. Back down to the beginning. The gay pride month, everything is acceptable, everything is everywhere, man. You don't have no type of warnings no more. Before you watch some shit on TV, it's just automatically there.
Yeah.
You know, it ain't none of that shit.
Kitty, I get what you're saying, for what she's saying in chat. She's saying, she's talking about experience that she had when she was young, because, of things that she had done. And that's, I think, to be completely honest, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about good, bad, or indifferent. You can be who you want to be with who you want to be. That's not something that we have a problem with. It's putting something like that and forcing people to see sexual acts, right, in front of someone who maybe didn't want it, who didn't want to see it, didn't expect it, or think that it's okay publicly to, perform said things that I personally think should be behind closed doors. If that's your kink, I get it, but that's like a one-off. That's not like hey, millions of people tune into me more so than bending over with a thong and showing you everything I have so you can see inside me. But like on top of that, right? That's more what we're talking about versus, it being, we're not against anybody that wants to choose to do what they want to do and be with who they want to be with. Do you? That's fine. It's just do what you want to do, but don't put sexual acts on a main stage. I think that's wrong personally. I think it's wrong. Without a disclaimer.
Well, if it's kid friendly, then it was definitely wrong.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what this is more about, is what is actually too far. Like, if you want to do that in a burlesque show, because I've been to burlesque shows, do it, right? People come in there, they know what they're coming in for. They might see some shit they didn't expect, but they know that's kind of coming.
But when you ask the question, so at the end of the day, is what's too far? Nothing. Nothing is too far when a man can go play a women's sport. It's not, and that sport could be a physical sport, whatever.
Yeah.
Men can go play and identify as a woman, so nothing is too far in the world. Like, if that ain't the cutoff line, because physically men are bigger, stronger, faster, like it's that's just how it always, that's it, that's life.
Yeah, it is.
So
life.
if that's okay, then what's not? What's not?
Right. Because
and nothing.
That's the thing, is that's kind of been the consensus, and it started slowly building up and more being allowed and more of that type of content to be in everybody's face, that you have to worry. My kids watching, YouTube, and I have to be concerned that the next video that plays isn't talking about, well, I got pregnant by my boyfriend. Okay, she's 8. She doesn't need she's on a kid's account. She doesn't need the next video to be talking about it, just to get her to teach her that people get into bad situations. Like, that's not okay to me as a parent. It's my choice. I get to say that, And
then Casey just made me think of something else, like, just to elaborate a little bit on what he's saying. It's like the double standards. So just imagine this right here. We talking about gay pride month, whatever. And it was a woman wearing a dildo. Like, just flat out, a strap on. Not just a dildo, a strap on, right?
Yep.
So it's just plain out there. It is what it is. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, if the man, let's say he was gay and he came out to perform, or a dancer or whatever, he was out there performing and he wore some shit and he pulls his shit out. What's like, it's going to be, oh, hell no, that shit too far, right? But to the kid, that's the same shit.
Yes.
From what this woman got on and what this man is, it's the same. I'm looking at the same thing.
Right.
Let's just say that the dildo wasn't green and it was black.
Mm-hmm.
Or white, and it matches the skin tone. Let's say that. It just matches whoever's wearing it skin tone. And you wouldn't know off top. Well, you would know because obviously it's Christina Aguilera, but I'm saying, like, for somebody else. But that's okay though. But it's not okay though.
Right. Well, see, like
See,
that's why I was talking about Rammstein, because it is not, and I had to look like 15 times, not because I wanted to see it more. I just was like, wait a minute, is that fake? Because he literally checks off in the middle of his show everywhere. It goes everywhere. I'm like, holy, what the hell? In one of his shows. And it's a video, you can find it on YouTube, right? But it's a prosthetic, it's not really him. However, how is that different? I get that it's, but that's why they have disclaimers. That's why those are very closed down shows and closed down videos, like where they're not for 18 and under and things like that. You know, it is a double standard. That's what I was saying. It's a double standard because, and it's also, how come she gets to, but Bob down the street can't, right? So it's that same celebrity double standard where because you're putting on a show, right, and you deem that it's okay, suddenly it's okay. For example, Bob down the street comes to the corner because I live on a corner, comes to the corner and is just like, "We helicopter, helicopter." They're gonna be calling the cops, right? And they're gonna arrest him for lewd behavior. But yet, in this context, that's okay, and I don't agree. I don't think it's okay, right? I think that if you're in a closed venue that has disclaimers where you know what you're getting into, that's different. Yeah, Rachel Rammstein did that. I've seen the video too fucking many times.
but look, it's just like this. If two women kiss, it's cool. Let's just say two female performers, they kiss. It's not, it's, whatever. But then Lil Nas X or something go kiss another man on stage, and it's, oh my God, he did this on stage at the awards and all that shit. But see, that's when race come into it too. I know people hate to revert to that, but that shit is real. But it's still at the end, it's two men versus two women. The shit that two women do is way more acceptable than what two men do.
Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely facts. I completely
So
agree with you. However, I, kiss who you want to, like, make out with whoever you want to.
yeah,
However,
that's
I just
cool.
don't see why. I guess the concept is like, I don't see why when you're walking down a parade with families at the side waving flags and cheering and hoping you'll toss candy. Because I'm sorry, when I went to parades, that's what we wanted, right? There's tossing candy and stuff and favors and things. That's what you want. And so they're
Now they
standing
tossing
there.
salads. They was tossing candy back in the day. Now they tossing salads at the parade.
Well, gotta go organic, man.
Facts.
But no, I mean, and while you're watching it, you see people leading around each other in almost nothing, no clothes on, with leashes and different kinks that are
And I was
being.
just about to, yeah, and I was just about to say, because we talking about gay pride, right?
Mhm.
What I said before, like, it's parades and all this shit. You don't get this shit with Black History Month though. Like some shit that formed America, like the world, right? And but we got parades and all this shit. And what parade is kid friendly for a gay pride
It's
parade?
not. I don't think it is.
None of them. None of it. Right?
Even if you're trying
None
to be
of it.
like, hey, you need to be tolerant, I think that the how explicit that they are is above and beyond that. I don't. I have, but that's my personal feeling. I know some people think that you should educate your kids as young as like first grade, and I hate that. I'm not with that. I think it's when I feel like my child is, emotionally capable of handling that conversation, and that needs to happen in the home, not in schools, to make sure that they're okay and that they're going to participate in some event. Like, I think I should be able to talk to my kids.
Yep. But you're gonna talk about something that they already been exposed to. That's what it is
Unfortunately,
now.
yeah. Because now it used to be that the schools were there to ABC 1, 2, 3, right? And now the schools are mandated to teach content in order to replace a community that people no longer participate in. So people stop participating in their local communities and they put their kids on the internet and then they go do their thing. And they, let that babysit them so they see whatever they see. They let the schools teach their children how to act, how to behave, how to be respectful, right? And then they wonder why, well, how come you don't, that you're doing or seeing or trying these things not trying, that's not what I mean. I'm talking like they teach them about drugs. Okay, good. Teach them that that's bad. That's fine. You know, the next thing, what's the next thing? They're going to say, okay, well, you know, when you're 8 years old, I'm going to teach you about the right ways to smoke where marijuana. Because right now, there are places that are teaching children that young about health class, right? About their bodies and other people's bodies and how, what to do and what not to do. And to me, that's a way of an overstep, but that's because people aren't taking care of their families and saying, no, 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 this is for my family to take care of, for me to teach my child. They're just like, yeah, yeah, do whatever. They're not paying attention. That's a parent's fault.
And it's not just they relying on the school, right? They relying on the internet.
Yeah, especially the internet. Yeah.
You know, so it's kids that has a tablet in their hand from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep. And then, you know, and then they on YouTube, TikTok. Like they on YouTube watching TikTok.
Yep.
Like they scrolling and shit, and it's actually TikTok on YouTube. So it's like you can't. It's so hard to shield the world from the world.
Yep. No, it really is. But that's why, you know, people need to be vigilant, you know, like if, as an adult, if I don't want to see certain content, I don't click on it, right? So you teach your children this is not okay. I always know when my kid's watching something she's not supposed to, because the second I walk in the room, she's like, she grabs, she pauses the show. I'm like, change it. Like right this second, change it. I know what you're doing. I'm not stupid. And then I go into history, and then, you know, sometimes we have a talk. Sometimes she just gets grounded. That's how it works, right?
Yep. But the thing is, she was grounded more than once for the same thing, right? Because you're not going to stop them.
But see, unfortunately, that's my mistake. I will ban her from YouTube for like a couple days, and then I'll let her back on. But she'll
get back.
Yeah, she'll get back, and I know that. And unfortunately, I push her towards, hey, Disney movies, which, you know, aren't always that great either. Some of them are not. She was watching 101 Dalmatians earlier. I was like, yes, you know?
Right.
But here's the thing. I take ownership of the responsibility of doing the best that I can, or better than the best, because I'm obviously, if she's still clicking on stuff, I'm not doing the best that I should be doing. But I take responsibility for that. That is my job as a parent, right? And I'm not saying that people can't raise their kids the way they want them to. That I get that. But there is a point where, like I said, any of these people that were at that concert, if someone is in their front yard, dressed in that outfit, swinging a schlong around, do you think they're going to be like, oh, good for you. That's great. Oh my God. Thank you for coming to my house. Like, no.
But that's how they portray Gay Pride Month, though. You know, like it don't have to be sexually explicit for you to celebrate Gay Pride Month.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it needs to be at all.
But that's the way it is, though. That's how it always been, though.
Unfortunately.
You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. That's just how it is. That's the way it's portrayed throughout the world. Is some high sexual shit.
Well, I mean,
and like you said from the beginning, you could like what you like, you could have your kinks and all that shit. But like, if you just want to celebrate gay pride, then just do that. You know what I'm saying? You can have clothes on. You don't have to have dildos. You don't have to have big ass titty cone type things. You don't have to be half naked. You don't have to be kissing and French kissing and all this shit in public. You don't have to do that. You just don't have to do that. But that's the shit that they show.
Let me make it very, very clear. If you are straight, you shouldn't be doing it either.
I agree with that.
I think two straight people shouldn't be half naked on top of each other, wearing little to nothing, if not nothing, and acting in a sexual manner in front of public, especially in a family-friendly environment.
I agree. What parade they do that at, though?
Well, I'm just saying.
But no, that's what I'm saying, though. Like it's not as common.
No, it's not. But I'm just saying I'm saying I don't hold a double standard. I think that no one should. It's not specific to any. It's just there's a specific event that has happened that happens consistently, where it's okay suddenly. All of a sudden, it's okay, and I just think that level of sexuality to be in public, I don't like it. But it's not, has nothing to do with their preference. They can do whatever they want and have fun, enjoy, good luck, mazel tov. However, I don't want to see in their bedroom.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Desiree says, yeah, I don't understand why they half naked were riding a bicycle in a rainbow thong with a feather sticking out your ass.
Yeah, facts.
By
Facts.
the,
Like it just, and then on top of that too, sex sells.
well, yeah, unfortunately.
Sex is controversy, so and controversy sells as well. So guess what? Every show now that you watch, every new series and shit, it's some sexual type shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's highly, naked women and naked dudes, and they show everything now.
Yeah.
They say everything, they do everything because in those parts of shows and shit, it's not important to the actual plot, right?
Right.
That shit you can go without that. But that's how it is because sex sells. Oh man, you see, it's crazy because porn is everywhere and porn is free.
True.
So I don't even understand why the fascination with, oh man, let's get her on the show. She gonna be naked and she gonna be on top of him, and they do a soft porn scene when you can watch the real thing. Like you can go without that shit. I hate that shit in shows.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point of this shit? Show me the motherfucker getting set up and how he gonna get his money back. I don't care about this chick with her titties out on top of this dude. If I'm gonna watch this shit, I'm gonna go pull up the real thing.
Right. No, I get
The
that.
girl
completely.
on girl shit. Yeah, the girl on girl shit that I was telling you about that you might want to check out because they got real good scenes in there and they be like intense, and some of them like they got different sizes and shapes, and women definitely know how to appreciate other women's bodies and stuff like that, and then sometimes they got oil and lotion and they be like in the bed and like thongs and stuff.
God, why don't I have a beat ready for this right now? Hold on. No, I'm kidding.
I'm just saying.
No, I get it.
I'm just saying.
No, Kitty, you're completely right. Mardi Gras has sexually explicit parades too. Yeah, they do. And guess what? I don't agree with those either.
But wait a minute.
But they're adults.
But wait a minute. That's not a kid friendly situation.
Exactly. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
that's not a kid friendly situation at all. So that's the difference.
That's what I'm saying. They're adults. Like that's their choice. They're choosing to participate in that. And people know if you're in this area, in this section with this going on, this is going to happen. It's the same as when they used, remember Girls Gone Wild? Remember that? You knew if there was a party in Panama City and Girls Gone Wild was there, you're not going to be like, hey kids, do you want to go float on your shark floaty in the pool? Like that's not a good idea. Like, no. I'm just saying, it applies across the board.
But like I said, it's a time and place.
Yes.
So like far as like Mardi Gras and everything, hell, New Orleans ain't even a kid. Like I don't see why would you even take the kids there.
Right, exactly.
Especially on Bourbon and canals, like it's just no reason because the bars is 24 hours. That's all it is. Bars, food, and women. Like that's it.
Yep.
So like it's definitely not made for kids. I know kids be there because that's what certain parents bring their kids and shit, but it's not a kid, like that's not a kid event. And it's on a public street, so it's not like you like somebody can stop the kid from coming in. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you go through an event at the door or whatever, and they say, hey, man, you got to be 18 and up to come here. It ain't one of those situations. Right. So, yeah, you will see kids there and stuff like that. But the actual environment is a adult atmosphere. So, just speaking on that.
No, absolutely, because that's where, unfortunately, common sense is supposed to kick in, where you're like, this. And, for example, I drove from Florida to Texas in 2018. I stopped in New Orleans and we went down Bourbon Street. We drove down. I think it was Bourbon, and then there was one other one. And there were some lady men of the night, I'm not sure, it was like 6 a.m, 5 a.m. So they were like done for the night and they were just casually walking, like yapping with each other. We had our doors locked. I'm like, and my daughter's like, why are we here? I'm like, someday you're going to see a show and they're like, oh, that's like Bourbon Street. And you're going to be like, I was there. Because here you are. And, all the really cool architecture and stuff. it was really cool to just drive there and say, you don't get it now, but someday it'll make sense. But I didn't
Right.
go there in the middle of a party because that's
Right.
that's not what I wanted to do. I saw the street was empty. I saw it was literally empty, and she's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "I don't know. Let's just keep driving. Like, I don't want to disturb you, ladies. Like, carry on." We just drove through and looked at the architecture, and then kept driving towards Texas. So it was just something, that's the famous place, right? But it wasn't like I'm like, "Oh my God, we've got to get some beads. Let's go." Like, I wouldn't. I just think that
Well, that's just to each his own, far as that type of stuff goes. What
right,
you
but that's
into,
that's
you
a
like it, whatever.
choice. But that's a choice
Yeah.
that we should be able to make. I think the issue with personally is when it's in your face and you're not expecting it, right? And then you're told you're not allowed to say anything against it because you have to put up with it because otherwise you're a hater, you're a bad person, right?
Yep.
If you don't approve of everything that they attach a label to, if you don't approve of every single thing, no matter how crazy or how much it offends you, and I'm sorry, seeing someone whip out their schlong on the street corner is offensive to me. So if they were doing that and I'm offended, I can't be. I'm not allowed. That's the point I think that I'm making.
Yeah. I get it. It's just to me like I don't see no end because nothing is punishable. Like nobody gets no type of feedback. Only time you get some type of pushback is when you say something negative about the LG, half the alphabet, all the letters in the alphabet. If you say something about them, then you're gonna get some type of let's cancel him and is crazy. And it don't even have to be something negative if you just on the opposite side of the fence.
Right.
Because everybody not cool with people being gay and stuff, and that's okay. Like you believe and feel how you want to feel. But if you put a microphone in front of everybody, you're not gonna get everybody to be all in. Yeah, okay, it's cool, man. I love gay people. Everybody not gonna do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and you can't get mad at somebody for not agreeing with that shit.
Well, that's the point. You don't have to agree with it. However, actively attacking someone for it that's a different beast, right? You don't everybody wants all of these, freedom of speech, and everybody wants to be able to, you can't censor us and we could say whatever we want. Well, remember, full freedom of speech and full non-censorship comes with a lot of shit, right? Because then you have to accept the opinions you don't agree with along with the ones you do. You have to understand that you won't agree with everyone, but if you have a right to speak, so do they. It's a hypocrisy thing, right? It's being a hypocrite. Like, hey, I can say what I want because what I'm saying is right, but you can't because I don't agree with you. And that to me, like, it's kind of an all or nothing issue. It's kind of, there's really no gray area really, unless people just mind their own fucking business. Oh wait, we don't do that though.
Yep, that never happens.
Yeah, we don't mind our own business. We don't
Nope.
just, you do you and I do me, and I don't have to hang out with you if I think you're kind of a jerk. Oh, you can't say that. That's rude and you're offending me, therefore you have to. So now I'm required to hang out with an asshole. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of situation in extremes. And you can apply that to any situation that people are complaining. You can't hate on me. Right. Well, they can hate on you. Just shut the fuck up and do it to yourself. Like, talk with amongst yourself.
Well,
Don't-
everybody want a voice.
Exactly.
Everybody want their opinion to be heard. But like what Susan just said, I really don't care about your truth. I want the truth. But that's what you're going to get because your truth. So let me say, my truth is the truth to me.
Right.
So that's what you're going to get from everybody. You're going to get their truth because it's the truth to them. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody believes something different, they're not on the same page of, it's so easy for us to say, hey man, do you, I'ma do me.
Right.
Live how you want to live. It's cool. That shit is way easier said than done.
Correct.
So if you ask somebody like, what's your thoughts on this? Everybody not going to say, that their truth is going to be, oh no, that shit wrong. I don't like that. This is against the religion or whatever the case may be, whatever it is. People is going to speak up. That's their truth. which is the truth to them.
Right.
So that's how the world works. So it's not like, okay, I don't believe in this shit. You know what I'm saying? So like if you ask somebody something and you say whatever about like gay people or whatever, and then you got somebody on the that's opposed, like I'm not with that, whatever. But it's like you're not going to get everybody to say, okay, that's really not my thing, but I get it. But to each his own. That's
Right.
the truth, right? When she say like, I don't want your truth, I want the truth. Like that's the truth for them because they believe to each his own. But everybody doesn't believe that. So
Right.
you're going to get the truth from that person, from their viewpoint. You know
Well,
what I'm saying? So that's just that's how it's always going to be. It's never going to be a 100% thing about anything in life.
no, I agree. And I mean, I honestly, I always say all the time, I truly think that the lack of community has everything to do with everything. Because if I go public, okay, I'm public, I'm on YouTube right now. If everyone doesn't agree with me, how dare you not agree with me? I'm mad. Oh, you have to. No, that's not how that works. Because people feel like everyone, everywhere they go has to agree with them. Because guess what? There's a fun little thing called an algorithm, right? If you watch the Netflix special, I can't remember the name of it, where they talk about it, where they talk about how if you click on something and watch it for a certain amount of time, it starts kind of tunneling you into more content like that. So you watch longer, so you'll see more ads. And so it's like a snowball, right? So, for
Right.
example, I'm going to use an example for people that are conservative or very far right leaning. Okay, if they're seeing people that are like, this is not okay, you can't burn buildings down, you can't riot because you're destroying businesses and you're hurting people, you're literally hurting people. Let's just say that's what the content is, right? Which is
Mhm.
volatile content. But let's say you start watching that because you're like, really? Because somebody down the street, they're stomping around saying they're going to find everybody and they're going to get them, right? So you click on seeing what's going on, you try and figure it out. It tunnels you into the same type of content and it works people up. Like, oh, yeah, see, I agree with that. So then the next one is kind of along the same lines. Well, I agree with that too, right? The next one you
Yeah.
skip. So they go, oh, okay. So they push it to the whatever lane that you track yourself in, and you start seeing more and more, and you get yourself worked up that everyone agrees with you, that everyone thinks the way you do. But guess what? They don't. They
Yeah.
don't. Because the reason you see specific people on your feeds, right, and not others, is due to the fact that those algorithms push you into these corrals of people that have like thinking, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, and the reason that you don't see this person come up very much, they might be posting as much as you, but you don't see it because the algorithm is saying, well, they don't really agree with you, and you're probably not going to interact with their content. So we're going to put them at the bottom or in the back so you don't see that. So you don't see that people are disagreeing with you. You don't see that people have a different opinion. You just keep going down the echo chamber. And,
Yep.
and unfortunately, that's what people rely on for their self worth, right?
I agree.
By the way, guys, we are in stages, and I'm going to be here to talk to anybody that wants to jump up in here with me about this or something you want to say. As long as you keep it kosher and don't be a dick about it, you're welcome to jump in the stage, jump in the Discord, put your hand up, and we'll pull you up. I think, Truth, you got places to be. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, I'm over here about to die, y'all. At night, y'all know I'm still trying to get over whatever the hell I got.
Yep.
And at night, man, I can't even get a whole damn sentence out without coughing up my lungs. So I'm gonna just take some medicine and lay it down.
No, I appreciate you coming in here and giving a different perspective and giving your input. It's not just me up here ranting by myself. That I appreciate.
Oh no, it's all love.
No, but anybody that wants to say something, if you're in the stages in the Discord, and raise your hand. Otherwise, I'll take comments from the chat and go with that until people don't want to talk about it, and then we'll go offline. So that's how we're gonna do it.
I'm gonna tune in though. I'm gonna be in the chat. Y'all finished the show. It was dope. And I want to hear what y'all got to say. So anybody that's want to join, I want to see what y'all think. You know, I'm trying to read the chat as we speak, but it's a little hard. So I want to be able to hear anybody who want to, voice their opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be tuned in.
And I do too. And I want to have a conversation where you can speak your mind. Just remember, we are being recorded. If you don't want to be on the live with your voice, then I wouldn't raise your hand because it is being recorded. It says it. There's a disclaimer in there. But you can say it in chat, and I'll try to catch it. At this point, thanks, Truth. I'm reading.
All right, Kat, I catch you.
All right. Peace.
All right, y'all. All right.
No, Suzanne, I completely agree with you. I think that's kind of the point that started all of this. It had a lot to do with leaving them out, leaving kids out of adult content, because the reason it's called adult content is it's for adults, right? That's how I feel, personally. Algorithm must be broken then, because I watch a lot of people that disagree with me, but I will still watch and support them because we may disagree, but it doesn't mean I'm going to hate anyone. You're lucky then. You're honestly lucky, because a lot of people get put into those corrals of like those lanes where they're stuck. Like everything kind of has, if you watch a lot of content across the board of different types of opinions, maybe that you got lucky into a mixed bag, right? And that most people don't get that because they tend to click on, if for example, my daughter likes nails. She's going to click on nails, and then all that she sees, oh, there's all these nail videos. I'm like, I never get any. And that's for the same reason, right? It's because you're clicking on things because you're interested in other people's opinions, and that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. Look at the whole Disney debacle. If not marketed to kids, that's exactly who they're reaching for. I agree with you. And that's the thing, is that I think that when it comes down to it, adults are capable of walking away after they make a choice. Unfortunately, kids can't, because they're stuck at whatever their adults that are bringing them are saying and doing. And like if you bring them to a movie, they're stuck in there, right? But I mean, I haven't gone too far into the Disney thing because I don't watch TV. I like really don't. Sometimes I get into something, but that's it. Your pop-ups are across the board, Bill. And you're lucky. Huh? Kitty, did you want to jump in here? You can. You just got to raise your hand, honey. Raise your hand. Don't leave me hanging. There we go. All right. Kitty, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hold on. I'll turn you up. Speak again.
Hello?
There we go. Now I can hear you.
Sorry, my fan's too loud. It is hot,
Bruh,
and my husband broke the AC.
it's 102 in my office right now. So yeah, I feel you. So here you are.
Are you sure you want me up here?
Well, it depends. If you're gonna bring something, like, just remember, like, as long as it's not anything hateful, nasty, which I don't think you never really are anyway. So, but as long as it's on topic, and you're open to, have a conversation about it, then fuck it, let's go.
Okay.
Bring it.
I get, like, all the prod stuff that I've seen, I've been involved with and stuff. Like I said, I've never seen anything that was involving kids in that. Like, anything I've ever seen, it's always been 18 up or 21 and up. So,
Well, have you gone
can
to
you
like
explain
specific?
that a little bit more, I guess?
Well, yeah. Have you gone to specific events, or have you gone to like in the city? There's going to be a parade, right? Do you go to the parades there, or do you go to an event like, hey, this is a specific gathering that we're doing? Like, which kind of venues are you going to?
I went to parades in a couple of towns over the big city they have there. That was marketed as 18 and up.
Right. So it was marketed as 18 and up, and did they check IDs?
I'm not sure.
No, I'm just curious. I'm not trying to grill you. I'm just asking for context. That's all.
They didn't check my ID, so I'm not sure.
Well, I just got carded the other day, which was like ridiculous, y'all, because my kid's over 18. So like, what the fuck? But okay. So in all honesty, if it's marketed as an 18 and over event, that's one thing, right? But I think that the point that I'm making is when something is not marketed as 18 and over, when there's no disclaimer. I put a disclaimer on this channel. like, this content is not for children. It is not for
Yeah.
kids. It is not for anybody that gets offended easy. Because I understand that not everybody is down with that type of content. So, hey, there's your disclaimer. Look, dude, if you don't want to be offended and if you're underage, this is not for you. We're talking about volatile topics. We cuss a lot. We talk a lot of innuendos, all that stuff. Truth, I hope you feel better, honey. But and Bill just said it, there's no way to keep kids away from city parades. So you go to the Thanksgiving parade, right? The Macy's one with the floats and all that stuff. And you see Garfield, and you see, I've never been, so you see a big turkey, you see like whatever floats and the big flowers, and they do a big parade, they throw candy. I don't know if they do that anymore, but they throw candy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
Like the ones they televise?
Can you hear me? I said yeah.
I can't hear you anymore. Why can't I hear you? Hold on.
Hello?
Kitty's lighting up, but there's no sound coming out all of a sudden.
Hello?
Try and mute yourself and unmute yourself, see if that works, because you were sounding fine just a second ago.
Hello? Okay. Hello?
Nope, she jumped out. She's probably going to try again. There we go. Oh, I hit the wrong button.
Okay, is that better?
Still can't hear you. Why can't I hear you? I heard you fine a second ago.
You muted me.
You can hear her and I can't? Why is that?
She muted me, guys. She was like, nope, I'm done with this
Do I have to
bitch.
leave my own stage? I can't do that. Sarah, can you jump in if you're here? I don't think she's here. Hold on. What's going on? It's me then. Rude. I left and came back. Did that work? I didn't mute her, I swear to God.
She muted me.
Shit! Oh my God, I just turned it all the way up and you just made me jump. I literally... Oh my God, that was the weirdest thing. Like, I just left and came back in, and then I muted and unmuted, and then I turned my volume all the way down, and then I turned it all the way, like, full blast, and then you said something. All of a sudden...
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Well,
that scared me. But anyway, from what I was saying, please rebuttal, because I didn't hear it, and I'm sorry. I figured you were just letting me rant, so...
I don't even remember what we was talking about.
No, I was talking about the thing, like Thanksgiving parades that are in the city.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. The Macy's Day Parade with SpongeBob and stuff.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is that when you go there, you see the kids on the side, the families go, they make a big thing of it, right? They used to have those for, like, the cities. I had an Old Settlers Day parade in Kansas and stuff. But then, my point is that, let's just say you're like, hey, I'm going to take my kids to a pride parade because I want them to be tolerant and be accepting and all this. So you bring them, and they're going down the middle of the street, and they're wearing kink wear, like latex and, half naked and collars and their ass hanging out, like literally strap, all that stuff. They're wearing next to nothing. They're dancing around, and your children are there because you can Google it. When you look at these parades, there are kids there. It's not even a joke. So I guess that's what I'm saying is that in those venues, like, they know that people are bringing their families and their kids, and they're still dressing in this provocative way. I just think that's, well, it's on the parents. They shouldn't be bringing their kids there because I think that's not for little kids. But whether you're straight, gay, it doesn't matter. However, they're not saying it's 18 and over, right? They're saying, oh no, this is for everybody to celebrate. I swear to God, if you're talking and I can't hear you again, I'm so mad.
No, I'm
Okay.
here. I'm here. Sorry. Sorry.
Don't do that to me. Rude. So that's more what I'm talking about versus an actual venue. Like I used to go to Missy B's, which is a drag club, and we would go party. I had my kind of sort of bachelorette party after I got married thing there, and we hung out with people, and that was my choice as an adult. I got carded at the door. There were no kids there though, right? So that was a choice. I guess my issue with the whole scenario is some of this behavior is put in front of children when I think that across the board, everyone can kind of agree that kids need to not be exposed to sexual explicit content. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people agree.
No, I mean, I agree with that.
That's what I'm saying. That I guess that's kind of what the topic is you don't get it, people don't get an opportunity to say no, this is not something that I want to be exposed to. Because they don't know about it, it's not excluding anyone.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm asexual, so like any sexual thing, like it just grosses me out. I'm gonna just be honest. Like I flirt and like, I make jokes and stuff, but thinking about the act of anything, that's as far as I'm going with that, it literally makes my body cringe.
Right.
So I can understand, like, if I was to go to an event, I didn't know that it was like that, then I would be like, what is this? Right? But that's just me, right? And so I can understand, like, how, like, kids being exposed to that, like, that would be like, no. But I get like anything I've ever been to, it wasn't like vaginas and penises and like all down the street, and like it was just a bunch of like drag queens, and they wasn't even like provocatively dressed, and we had pride flags, and it was just a bunch of adults hanging out.
Right.
So I've never seen the vaginas and the penises. I know what happened during the women's march that we had a few years ago, but that was
Jesus
the only time
Christ,
I
yeah.
ever heard of it.
No, exactly. Okay, see, that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Since they consider those activities are okay, can I, as a straight guy, march down the street with a half naked female and spank her ass all the way down the street? It depends on what street, I think.
Yeah.
In all honesty, because I think that's more the point. Is the point is what is actually going too far? When does it become okay to take things that belong? For example, I'm using okay, it could belong in the dining room or the bedroom or wherever you do your thing. It belongs there, and now suddenly it belongs in front of everyone, and everyone's required to see it. I think that's the thing. So if that was, you go outside and you see someone doing this, you'd be like, what the hell is happening right now, right? So it has less to do with the fact that the person could potentially be part of the LGBTQ, that's all I know, LGBTQ community, and more to do with the fact of what they're portraying. Whether they're straight, gay, doesn't matter. However, it is very specific to that community because it's pushed in parades, and obviously, like I said, the Christina Aguilera thing. It's pushed and it's put out there and it's acceptable because it's for the LGBTQ community, right? If it was for any other community, it would be like, oh, what the hell are you doing? Well, unless you're like Cardi B. Aside from that, you can't do that, right? Well, how come it's okay there and it's not okay anywhere else? Not saying it should be okay. I'm saying, why is that the center point of their public face? That's waiting.
Yeah, I get that. Sorry, I was thinking. It took me a second to like soak everything in. Like, I feel like it's been like, and this is just my personal, thing on it.
No, that's what we want. This is your opinion, and this is my opinion. Like that's the whole point.
Yeah, like I mentioned the WWE thing. Like Lita and Edge was literally having sex in the middle of this ring on a TV show. I was 11 years old watching this. And that's one of the like core memories that stuck in my mind. And we've kind of seen straight heterosexual relationships very sexualized. So I guess like for the community, like I said, I haven't been a part of that, but I'm just thinking about it like in that way. Like, why is it okay for the straight people to do that, but not
It's
the
not,
gay
though.
people?
No, it's
Yeah, like I don't feel like it's right for any of them.
thank you. That's kind of where I'm going with that. I don't think it's right for any of them to do it. And my point is that like there was Cinemax, but then you got caught using Cinemax when you're younger, and your parents whoop your ass. That's how that
Mm-hmm.
works. You choose to click on Pornhub, that's your choice. I mean, we let our kids be on the internet with no supervision, and when we're like, well, why are they clicking? Well, that's why. They're curious. However, being told you're not allowed to say no, right? I don't want to see this. I don't want to see that. And not being told, like, and not given a choice. So, in other words, you go there, you're in a room, you're sitting down, there's supposed to be a comedian, and he comes out butt ass naked. Don't you think he's got some warning? Like. But if he says, I am of this specific set group of people, you're not allowed to tell me anything. You're not allowed to speak. Now, I'm not saying, you tell me, one, I would love to hear it. Tell me of a heterosexual group or event where people are waving their shit around, right? In that specific same manner, but it doesn't matter. See, that's my point. It doesn't matter who you're with. And that they were told, well, that's okay. It's not okay. It's a hypocritical situation, is what I'm saying. Like, if you go to a drag club, you're going to a drag club. That's one thing. But if you send your kid to school and there's drag queens there to read them stories and you weren't told about it, that's different. How come they're allowed to do that, but you can't have, the local senator come by because, for example, he's a Republican? Like, you can't, there's certain things you can and can't do, but depending on your label. And I think it should be across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Like, exactly. Casey, I don't think anybody should swing their dick on stage. I think that's, well, I mean, unless you go to like Thunder from Down Under and then, you paid for it. So, like, it's a choice. 21 and over, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's more what the topic is versus like nobody is against anyone doing what you want to do when you want to do it with who you want to do it with, right? As long as it's not something that there's very firm lines. Kids are not are bad. That's not okay. Beasts, like, no, stop. People that can't speak for themselves, that's not okay either. So you take those out of the situation. Anyone else, do you? I just don't want to see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the point about the whole being on stage, national stage, viral on Twitter, we all get to see the bedazzled dildo. Bill, if you want to join, you're more than welcome to join. You just got to stick your hand up, man. I keep checking and nobody's putting their hand up, but that's okay. Trust me, I can sit here and rant for days. It's cool. I really want people's opinions because I know that there are nuances to this. There are like situations where, and I think everything is about your choice. If you don't get a choice, like, you're not allowed to say something, but the whole point of the movement is to tell people that you have rights, and then you take away other people's rights so that you can have yours. I don't think that's how rights are supposed to work, right?
Yeah, and I feel like, and this, coming from someone part of the LGBTQIA plus movement.
Jesus Christ, I didn't even know there were more vowels.
Yeah, there's a lot now. It's getting ridiculous. But I feel like it did start out with, we just want to be able to have the same rights that heterosexual couples do. I don't want to have to, like, be worried that I'm going to get attached for being out with my girlfriend or whoever, right? Like, that shouldn't have to be a worry of mine. I think it did start out that way, but then it got to the point where it's like, okay, well, if you say anything against us, now you're attacking us.
Right.
And
yeah, I agree there.
And that stems from a lot of, for me, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, that stems from a lot of religious trauma I went through when I didn't even know myself who, what, when, where, how I was,
Yeah, Yeah. No, and I get that. And I understand what you were saying earlier. And Bill, I'll get to you in just a second, I promise. I see your hand. And I said it before it came up in chat, so ha. But I saw what you were saying, and I get what you were saying is it's like, but your perspective on it and your willingness, like you don't want that to happen to other people. I get it. I wouldn't want that to happen to anyone either. And I don't think that people should shove people one way or another. However, there's a point where saying you are a blank slate until you hit 18, or not even 18, until you hit like 7, and then you get to just like pick if you like, Barbie or Ken, and that's like what happens, and we're going to get you medication, we're going to do all this stuff. I think that's not okay. Again, it's a whole kid thing, which I don't necessarily want to dive into the kid thing, aside from saying that obviously y'all know how I feel about that, so I don't really need to reiterate. But I think that everybody should just be who they want to be. I just think that I don't need to see it. And you don't need to see me like getting hot and heavy with anybody, right? Like y'all don't want to see that shit. I mean, Truth might, because Truth like is all he's all on the Pornhub watching that. So I'm not saying I'm a Pornhub. Clarification. But I'm gonna put you down for a second and bring Bill up here, and then if you want to jump in later, put your hand back up if that's cool with you.
Okay.
I appreciate you coming up here because you're the first one. Yay!
Yay.
Even Skullz is just in the chat, bruh.
I know, he's slacking.
He is. No, he's actually been really busy, and I'm trying to give him a break. But yeah, I'm not saying put you down. Context, okay, y'all? I'm gonna put you back in the audience.
you done muted me. Now you're putting me down. You've attacked me this entire conversation. I don't know if I can support you anymore. # cancel cat.
Rude.
Okay, I'll be back up later, maybe.
Okay.
Bye.
I don't know how to do it. Oh, she figured it out herself. Okay. There we go. Figured it out, y'all. Yay for me. Now Bill's just got to accept it. Bill, what's up, man? Uh-oh. You're muted. Bill, you have your mute on, hon. Uh-oh. There you go. Oh, and you're muted again. Now you're unmuted. Say something. Y'all, it was not me. He's not lighting up green. It wasn't me. Vindicated. You're unmuted, but can you change your microphone or something, maybe? Oh, okay. Stand by. Cool. I have one screen, y'all, so you gotta bear with me. Kitty, don't hashtag me. Rude. No, but even in the chat, I'm scrolling back up a little bit because Skullz says it's like any SJW movement nowadays happens with feminists too. Feminism used to be equal rights, and now it's women who resent men. Agreed. I think that people have warped things into something that it didn't. The original intention has been warped and it's been abused. Personally, that's what I think. People are using it for their own gain. Like, hey, I'm gonna find the loophole where this applies to my situation in order to make everybody have to accept it, and I can do whatever the hell I want. And then people are like, hell yeah, they're doing what they want, and they all kind of get on board. A gun parade. Nice. Casey, that's true. It is a chargeable offense. It's 49 seconds, Skullz. Like, you can literally go watch it before Bill figures out how to get his microphone to work. Super, super quick. It's 49 seconds, and then the second video, if you guys don't know, it's in the Discord, it's in the thread, which is highlighted in the general chat. If you need the Discord, the link is up at the top of the chat, and you can jump in there, and you can jump in the stage, and you can jump on stage if you want. If you're just here to listen, that's cool too. What's up, Corleon? I think Bill's trying to figure out his technical difficulties right now. Yeah, they are definitely getting hijacked because it's like that whole Little Mermaid thing, give an inch and they swim all over, right? The original intention has been lost. The original intention that people deserve to be who they want to be and do what they want to do has been lost in this scramble of people saying, well, this fits and lets me go to this extreme because I'm bored, I don't know what to do, I want to be different, I want attention. I'm not saying every situation is attention seeking. I'm saying that anyone that isn't attention seeking has been drowned out by those that are. It's saturated. What's up, Annette? I see you in there. Try and jump out and jump back in and see if that works. Maybe that'll help. Because with Kitty, I could see her lighting up, but I couldn't hear her. And in this case, you're not even lighting up, and I don't know why. Please work, please work, please work, please work.
Can you hear me now?
Yay! See? You turn it off, and you turn it back on. What's
I'm
up?
electronic, and that's literally like the first thing we normally do is turn it off, turn it on, golden.
I'd love to hear what you have to say, because obviously this topic I mean, I'm being real soft on the topic in general. You guys get what I'm saying in general, what I'm saying about the situations and about, I'm not blaming anyone specifically. I'm saying that the situation as a whole is kind of fucked. But what are your thoughts on it? I'd love to hear.
Can me and Kitty not be in the same room together?
Can?
I mean, I know that's dangerous.
She can.
But
If she wants to, she can. Did you want to talk to her?
oh, it's fine either way. But you had said that you were going to put her down and bring me up. I just wasn't sure if you could.
Yeah, absolutely can. I can bring anybody I want.
I never mind talking with Kitty. She's my online niece.
Gotcha.
And I'm creepy Uncle Bill, apparently.
No, but I
mean,
love your thoughts.
Obviously, as a pastor, I have feelings about this topic, but I'm not a conventional pastor by any means. So my thoughts are fairly different from most hardline pastors.
Right.
In that, I don't. Biblically, yes, I can sit there and quote the Bible, sit there and show where homosexuality is wrong. But usually when I take that stance and I quote that, it's immediately followed by the even more verses on overeating or over drinking or overindulging, period. And so my position just on the overall, the big topic of homosexuality is that it's a sin like any other sin. And who am I as a fat man to judge anybody else?
No, I completely get that. I just think that I can have beliefs on whether I think that certain people should or should not be together, and you could include any combination of people of any sort, right? I can have an opinion on that. However, when it comes down to it, I think the issue is more, if you're gonna, like I said, if you want to go out in your backyard and wear a diaper and get spanked by a wooden spoon while somebody pees on your head, I don't want to see it. And I shouldn't have to see it, because now you've taken away my right to say, no. And that's the whole consent issue, right?
Oh, I 100% agree.
I think, to me, that is what I have more of a problem with. Like, I can agree or disagree, but I really truly believe in disagreeing with someone but still respecting them and respecting that we're not going to agree on specific points. However, I reserve the right to not have to be involved in something that I don't agree with. So if I don't agree with people like skeet shooting, I don't have to go, right? So if I go and I'm like, hey, I really want to be supportive, I think I should know that what I'm getting into is something that I believe that sexualizing publicly, right? This shouldn't happen. And I believe it across the board. I don't exclude anyone from that. However, the reason I bring it up is because it was specifically an event for Pride. That's what it was. And I just don't understand how doing that like is cheering or helping or like celebrating Pride or gay right. I don't understand how those two correlate at all, other than you're literally taking the kink store strip club and sticking it on a public stage, and then people, without telling anyone, and then anyone that might have been there, if they are like, oh hell no, this is my kid, and they leave, then oh, you're a horrible person. I'm not saying anyone did that. I'm saying there's a worry, because that's how people are treated when they speak up against these type of things, when you add a label to it. If they're just doing it because they want to stand up on stage with a dildo, and you leave and you're like, I don't want my kids to see someone with a dildo, that's a different scenario than if you're like, but it's for gay pride. Well, how is that for gay pride? How is being sexual on stage for gay pride? That's what I'm saying. I think they're actually destroying the movement, much like other movements that get destroyed by people using it for shock value, right?
That's what it is. It's shock value, and it's pushing boundaries. It's what can I get away with today? That's all it is.
Yeah, I know, I agree with you.
And
Shout out Skullz for that comment, like legit.
Yeah.
And I'll say
100% Skullz.
I'm going to say it out loud in case people are listening and not paying attention to the playback of the chat. The Bible tells people that he is the judge too. People are not good judges. We're supposed to love thy neighbor and hate the sin, not the sinner. Exactly. I can disagree with what you're doing, but not hate you as a person. That it's possible. Yeah. You can do that. Just because you decided to go hold my neighbor at gunpoint, I don't have to like you. However, I'm not going to wish you negatively unless, you go those extremes, which I will say I wish anybody negatively that, like, hurts innocence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, all right, Kitty, we'll see you in a little bit.
I'll go topic adjacent.
Go ahead.
And judgmentalism is literally like the cornerstone of my personal ministry and viewpoint and everything else. I'm the first to say that Christians are Christianity's own worst enemy.
True.
Because I tell you what, Christians are some of the most judgmental hypocrites I have ever met. And I'm a pastor. Like, I didn't get my ordination from the internet.
Right.
I went to seminary, and a very, very long process to get ordained. But after all that I learned and over the years on that journey, that's what I came up with. And so that's where I put most of my focus is on judgmentalism. But getting back to the topic at hand, kind of.
You can take it wherever it goes. That's completely fine. I don't necessarily want to go in on necessarily pride or gay rights. That's not the intention, because it's not people that have people that have chosen, or they are in love with someone, or that's their life. That's okay. Do your thing. That doesn't bother me. I'm not trying to focus it on that. I'm saying this is the scenario that brought up this topic, which branches off, and that's the point, into all these other topics that people don't quite realize. And I think it's more about the labels. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, go ahead.
My train track my train tracks look like a tree. I can go in lots of different directions, but regarding the LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ, my niece is gay.
Okay.
Love her to death. I have nothing but love for that girl.
Yeah, she's your niece. I mean,
When she told me, I mean, I used to talk to her on the regular. She would hit me up on Facebook, and we would chat for hours. When she got engaged, after the Supreme Court ruled that the same-sex marriage was legal, I wrote a simple message to her. I said, I may not always agree with you, but I will always love you no matter what.
exactly.
We haven't had a conversation since.
Oh, really?
That was 10 years ago.
That's so sad. Did she take it negatively?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I mean,
Very
obviously she
negatively.
did. I just didn't want to assume.
Yeah, she assumed that what I was saying is that I didn't accept her. And actually, I said, I love you and I just want you to be happy. And she not only cut all ties, never even responded to that message,
Yeah.
but turned her two sisters and her brother against me as well.
Right. Because that's what people that are offended or feel like you're, against them, that's what they do. They rally, they circle the wagons, and they pull everybody into them. And, unfortunately, people don't tend to really listen or see what's being said. People tend to assume that if you don't absolutely, hands down, positively, on point, agree with them in every aspect, that you're against them. That's not how the world is at all.
No, it's not. But she's young.
Yeah.
They're young, and they don't understand that there are no two people with the exact same frame of mind. So if they would think about that, they would realize that absolutely nobody on earth 100% agrees with them.
No, that's
There's
absolute
not-
facts. Because,
You
in all
know?
honesty, you could line up. Well, of course, they say that you have a twin, like an exact person that's doing exactly what you're doing at the exact moment and the exact time somewhere in the world at all times. Like that, whether it's the same person doing it, there's someone doing exactly what you're doing and saying what you're saying somewhere in the world. Okay, cool. By the way, let's shout out to 307 and Mrs. Traumato. See you, Melanie, Tanya, everybody that's in here. I see you guys. Appreciate you coming through. Evasive Pen is here. This is a volatile topic. This is something that is really kind of hinky. It can go either way. Like we said, if you want
And
to
this is the first time everybody hears me,
and
except for Chris from 307.
Oh, I've heard you before.
You've heard me before.
Yeah. But if you want to jump into the conversation, you can jump into the Discord, jump into the stages, you can put your hand up, and we will get you up here. At some point, we're probably going to end up with a free-for-all because that's how we roll. But for right now, it's just letting people speak their piece about the topic and where they see it and what it means to them or what they want to say about the whole situation in general, which is not necessarily as narrow as the topic that started it, right?
Works for me.
Yeah, but I mean, it's super sad because it's like people are like, if you don't agree with everything I say, and here's the thing, no one, like you said, no one ever will agree with everything that you say, right?
No.
So you can't make these sweeping statements like, if you don't agree with what I say, then you're against me. Like, people just need to like stop Sarah Bernhardting the whole situation, if you're old enough to know who the fuck that is. Just saying, if you don't know who that is, oh well.
Good reference.
Thank you. My mom used to call me Sarah Bernhardt when I was growing up, so
Ooh.
all the
I
time.
mean,
Well, I was a drama club president, so kind of fit. But my point is like, it's super sad that people take those to a level where they are going to, remove someone from their circle that could really be a good support system. But on the flip side, someone that is like, look, I'm with this person, I love them, I want to be with them, and you're like, look, I just want you to be happy. for them to cut you out because it's like, well, you didn't say that this is the most wonderful thing, and I think that you deserve all of the blessings and all of the healthcare insurance, and you need to do this, and you should go to this, and I'm like on board, and I'm gonna wear this rainbow. Like, by the way, fuck y'all for taking the rainbow, because rainbows are awesome, and that's not fair. I'm just saying, like, I love rainbows, and now I can't wear one without making a statement. But for someone to ostracize you for that reason, it's kind of it's kind of lame. And but here's the thing: they're missing out on someone that actually would really be supportive and be there for them, right? And that's sad. It's super sad. Oh, Kitty wants to come up. Do you want her to come up now, or do you have anything else?
Oh, she can come up.
We're not going
to Kitty. I really will.
Well,
I love Kitty.
I don't want a bunch of people so that like we're all talking over each other. That's kind of the point of the stage since it is live. However, at some point we will end up with a free for all because that's how we could roll. But I just really want to.
I can't stay for too much longer anyway. But
I really just want people to be able to speak their piece if they want to. I really want to be able to read comments and talk to people and hear their story and hear what they think about the topic that I brought forward, right? Because, I mean, it's a big deal. Like, I was up in arms when I saw that shit, so hold on.
Holding on.
The sexual identity attraction of a person, be this, be end all of the person, is just problematic, divisive. Yeah, I don't think that people should legitimately, I don't think anybody is defined. I think people should be defined by how they treat other people and who they are as a person versus whether they like cats or dogs or whether they like chips or pasta or whether they're allergic to tomatoes, which I am, where their background is from, what their ethnicity is. None of that should fucking matter. What they look like shouldn't matter. How do you treat people? How do you, how are you as a person? What is the content of your character? That should actually matter.
100.
Kitty's in here. She's muted.
That's fine.
Well, I'm fucked then.
No, but just to round out that story of my niece, while we haven't had a conversation per se, her grandmother did pass away a few years ago, and this was after her and her wife had a baby. They did in vitro and had a baby. And so we all went to Hawaii to celebrate their grandmother, my mother-in-law's life. So we were all together. And I love her wife so much. I really do. And turns out that her wife is the niece of people that I went to high school with. So nice drama circle there. But no, I love them to death. I love their daughter to death. I still love my niece. She's my niece. But I accept them all as family. And her wife knows that. She understands that I accept her without reservation. And accept their daughter without reservation. And accept my niece without reservation. But my niece still holds that big chip on her shoulder.
And that's sad. I'm sorry to hear that. Like, why am I subjected to see your junk and can't say anything? Am I less important than him or her? Exactly. That's the thing. And here's the thing. And I've been, if you guys have noticed, I've tried really, really hard to stay away from the YT, the TRIGGER words, right? I'm trying really hard to kind of avoid those because I really want to talk about this and not like get deleted or something. So what I'm saying is that a lot of it has to do with consent, approval, saying yes. So I'm just gonna call it saying yes. I think that everybody should have the right to say yes, and that belongs on, by the way, it belongs on every topic. And it doesn't have to just be this one topic. Like I said, this actually branches out further. This is just the start off point. So being allowed to say yes regarding what you want to see, hear, do, or participate in should be your choice, right? if you have a choice with consequences that make sense and are, reasonable, and you choose to do something and you have consequences, then that's again your choice. That's your chance to say yes. Anything that happens where you're not allowed to say no, to me, is not okay. There should be nothing out there, and I'm gonna sit here and think about it and see if I can come up with a scenario where saying no is not allowed. But so far, I cannot think of one. If you guys think of one, please feel free to put it in the chat.
Did you see what Chris wrote?
I'm reading it right now. I was like, I look up in the sky when I'm talking, and then I look over when other people are talking, and I read the chat.
Oh, see, the ADHD in me. I'm multitasking at all times, even when I sleep.
I multitask. Well, you guys know how much I multitask. However, in this particular, when I'm speaking, I'm trying to be here in the moment. I'm trying to be here for it. Like, I'm trying to be present. And I think that people that come up and talk with me deserve that attention, which is why sometimes I miss donations, or I miss shout outs, or I miss people coming in chat. I see you, but I'm not going to necessarily shout you out because it's about the conversation. And if it's flowing, I don't want to be like, hey, so, Bob, thanks. I'm glad that, you smiled today. Good job. And then like go back and try and pick it up, because conversations flow, right?
As one of the people who is finally on the Elsewhere podcast,
Welcome.
and having the open conversation within this crazy world, I appreciate that. And like, if I'm doing it, you'll know if I get distracted by something that's said mid, like while I'm talking, because I'll be sitting here and I'll start dragging out my words because my brain's focus is elsewhere. Elsewhere.
See, I have taken over that word, y'all. You can't say that, and I'll be like, right?
2 cents. Trademark. But now we've got big facts for Skullz. But yeah, what Chris was saying was one of the singers in his old band was gay, and he said something that changed his life. He said, I want to be known for the feats I achieve in life and not my sexuality. That's amazing.
Well, I mean, okay, so I'm going to play a little bit of not a devil's advocate. I don't know the right way to articulate it. However, what I'm saying is, if your sexuality is not the defining point of your life, right? Then I guess that's what I'm trying to, I don't know how to articulate that. For example, me, I'm heterosexual. It just is what it is. Okay. I've never thought about it. Like, I understand that people go through different things based on their sexuality. I get it. I get that people go through pressures. They go through high school, middle school. They go through kickback from people that are treating them differently. They go through parents not approving. I get that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying once you get to the point where you're like, look, this is who I am, there's another focus. Like, you live your life. Like, you work, you clean your house, you have your children. Like, to me, my preference means it's just who I don't think about it. It's just, and I get that people get treated differently for it. However, even if I was with someone, right, a man, because that's who I would be with, because I'm heterosexual. So if I was with a man, it still wouldn't define me. It wouldn't define how I, maybe it would change how I live my life because I accommodate another person. However, it wouldn't change the fact that I go to the grocery store. It wouldn't change the fact that I put gas in my car. Like, it doesn't define me.
No. It doesn't define me either. But I hate bringing up that I'm a pastor, but as a pastor, I'm also a counselor. So I deal with a lot of people with a lot of different problems. And, like you were saying, disapproving families, disapproving government for a time, disapproving. There's whole organizations that are just blatantly stop the gay movement. So, on some respect, this is my turn to play devil's advocate. I get it. I get it that people were judged based on who they loved. And so there's going to be a little bit more outgoing push to say, hey, look at me. I am who I am, and I'm happy with it. Great. But as of the Supreme Court decision, when gay marriage was legalized, whether I agree with it or not, doesn't matter. They won their battle. They won their war.
Right.
It is now at least somewhat socially acceptable to be gay. And then coming back on the original train track, gay pride parades are now outdated.
Well, that's the thing, is it was like, I'm really hung up on hypocrisy. I'm hugely hung up on hypocrisy, right? So
Me too.
I truly believe, like, I know that not everybody's going to agree with everything that I say. I know people are going to take me wrong, but if they know the content of who I am, if they get me as a person, if they've talked to me, they know I keep my word, that I'm sincere, that I follow through, that I mean, I try. Like, I can't always say I succeed, but I do the best that I absolutely can in every situation except work, but that's besides the point. Aside from that, like when I'm interacting with people, right? I just feel like there should be some reciprocity there. Like there should be some like, look, I don't have any problem with whatever it is that you do. I just think that I should be able to like or dislike whatever you want to like or dislike whoever you want. So how come I can't? And the thing is, labels are everything. Everybody cares about labels. I think that the Pride movement was to be like, look, we're here and we're not going to be quiet. We're here and you can't make us be quiet. You can't stop us. However, I'm not going to pretend like the sexualization of these movements, right, of this specific movement didn't start. Like, you could see it in the 70s. You see it in the 80s. It was a big thing. Like, if you're going to be this person, you had to be a flamboyant because you had to, like, shout it out to the world. Because you knew everyone was going to be mad at it, whatever, right? But then they expected that, and they're like, we're here to fight. This is my armor. Okay, cool, right? They won their fight. They are accepted. The insurances accept them. The government accepts it. People in general kind of sort of don't give a fuck. Do what you're going to
No,
do.
they don't.
People don't really care. Do what you want. However, why would you say in order to approve of this movement, I have to be sexually explicit? That's my problem. How come if you are a movement that is just about who you love, I'm talking about feelings, I'm talking about your heart, I'm talking about your mind, I'm talking about your soul, right? I'm talking about who you really love. What the fuck does that have to do with shaking a dildo on stage? I don't get it.
You're answering your own question. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
But you're talking about two different movements. The gay pride parade of it was free love movement of the 60s and 70s, which moved into the gay pride movement of the 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
I'm going to differentiate. 80s and 90s are not the same as the 00s and the 10s and the 20s, okay? I just want to...
The 10s and the 20s aren't even the same as the 00s, Kat. I'm
just
saying.
saying. Like, that's... And I hate to say this shit, y'all. That's like a 40-year gap, okay? Shit changed. And I just want to differentiate that. Like, it's not all... It was a legitimate movement in the 90s. It was because people were like, oh my God, but you could use the word and mean it in a joking way, but not be like, oh my God, now you just hurt my feelings. Like,
What
Well, no, 10
I
years
feel
ago,
like
it was a
what
movement. It was a
happened.
political movement
yeah, it was
in
political.
order to gain rights. That was 10 years ago.
But I
The
feel like what
pre
also happened was like once the feminist movement got involved with the LGBTQIA movement, that just opened up a whole new thing. Like I've even heard people in the LGBTQIA community like be like, well, if guys can have their shirts off, why can't I? I don't agree with that because let's be honest, boobs are sexualized. They're not meant to be sexualized, but they are. So
girls are built different than guys. I mean,
exactly.
anatomy is real.
There you go. You just like destroyed the entire movement. That's not true. They're the same. If they
No.
say they're the same, don't start. Okay, I was being a little sarcastic there, but I'm saying
I know you were.
But no, I'm just saying, like, I get that. It's just okay. So let me go into the feminist movement. Let me literally say something about that because how are people that are like,
Don't get
look,
me going.
I am a female, right? I'm a woman. I make less than a man, right? Because there's a solid in the feminist movement. There's a solid definition between men and women. That was the whole premise. If you're a biological man, a man, let's just go there. I don't need to use all the extra words. Y'all know what the fuck I'm talking about. Don't even come at me. And I'm a woman. You make more because you're a guy, and I make less because I'm a woman. That's the feminist movement, y'all. That's it. It's pretty easy, right? Oh, no. So you tell me how the feminist movement lined up with the LGBTQIA IRS, like whatever. I'm sorry. I can't.
How?
I need to like write that down. Hold on. What is it? QRS
LGBTQIA.
LB.
Plus.
Oh wait.
Don't
L
forget the plus on.
L
You can also go LGBTQ plus.
LBGQ.
LGBTQIA.
God damn it. TQ. So that movement. Yeah, we'll go with that.
You might as well add F in there. It's feminist.
So explain to me how a movement that defines everything they stand on based on a man and a woman lines up with a movement that at this day and age defines themselves on the fact that you can't tell them if they're a man or a woman. How the fuck does that work? I just want
You want me to answer that in super, super simple terms?
Well, yes, because, I need super simple because...
No, this
just
isn't
kidding.
patronizing.
I'm kidding.
Marginalized communities.
Yep.
That's what it breaks down to, is marginalized communities or communities that feel they're marginalized.
Jen, I see you. Do you want to come up in here too, sis? You have your hand up. If you want to come in with everybody, as long as y'all don't
have
talk.
to dip out when the thing happens.
No, I got you. No, of course. That's cool. Jen, do you want to come up in with us? Just tell me. Well, her hand's up, so I'm going to assume she does. Behave, sis. Fucking behave. Love you, behave.
Dude, I'm always behaved.
But just to break it down with what I was saying before, is the 60s and 70s was free love. That wasn't specific. It was just about breaking down barriers and pissing their parents off.
Yes.
With the 80s and 90s, it was more about gaining courage to let people know how they felt.
Yes, I agree with you, hands down, yes.
Then in the 00s and the 10s, it became more of a political movement. Like, okay, we're gaining, not necessarily in popularity, but in acceptance. So we want to be able to not just openly, but legally bind with each other.
Right.
And then now, this current thing is something completely different that has nothing to do with rights or anything. It's more about indoctrination and flooding society with a way of thinking. And that's what the gay pride parades have turned into. And the drag queen story time hour, it's become more about capturing more people. It has nothing to do with people who actually think that gender fluidity is real, because it's not. There's nothing real about it. No one can spontaneously change genders.
Right. Well, that's if you define gender in the way that like is an actual a gender is a gender. If you define gender as how you feel in that current moment, what you could if you decide that gender is an emotion versus a physical scientific thing, an actual fact, right? Then you can be fluid because your emotions can be fluid. You can be angry, you can be happy, you can be whatever.
I'm going to disagree.
No, I'm saying if you think your gender is an emotion and you decide that my gender changes as what I feel that day, then that's different than if your gender is biologically what you are. That's the difference where people think it's fluid and people disagree.
So
I
this is
I think it's less about how people feel that moment and more about how can I be as ostentatious as possible.
Jen, what did you have to say?
I of course come in on two perspectives.
Okay.
I'm very much supportive of the LGBTQ plus AA, and in Canada we say IP for Indigenous peoples. Um,
Oh
uh,
wow.
Why are
yeah,
the indigenous peoples looped in with something that has to do with sexuality?
because
Marginalized peoples.
no, it's actually because Indigenous peoples represent. They actually have something in their culture called Two Spirit, and I don't know enough to talk fully on it, but it's that some people have embody both male and female spirits.
Okay, I get
Oh,
what you're saying. Okay, I get what you're saying. I was
okay.
just trying to figure out because to me, when you first said it, it was like, wait a minute, how does your ethnicity or your background have anything to do with sexuality, right? That's kind of where I was going with that. But
Yeah, it means Two Spirit.
okay,
And I don't know enough to fully go into it, but
no, I get it.
that's the premise of it.
That
Um,
makes more sense than anything else I've ever heard about gender fluidity.
and
I
that's
mean,
where
really,
and,
truly.
and that's where I come in. So I can tell you in 15 minutes in a basic lab if you're a male or female or if you're intersex. And there is 1% of the population that is intersex.
Correct.
But
Yes.
I agree.
that does not mean that it means that at birth your parents have to pick a gender for you, pick a sex. I think I have a problem where you say sex is biological and it comes out of what your dad's sperm was when he entered the egg. That's biological, but gender can be sociological. And sociological doesn't necessarily mean a science. It can be that I tend to be, I have more masculine traits. I identify as straight female, but I'm in a male dominated field. I am, as everyone knows, I can be a little rough around the edges and swear like a sailor and a little more aggressive than most. But
No.
I yeah, but that has nothing to do with my sex and has everything to do with who I am and what my personality is. And I think you have to say, yeah, think sexuality and being accepted for your sexuality at all levels of government, society, whatever, is very important and it's been fought for. And I think why pride is important, and I maybe not having a month, but definitely recognizing it, is to make sure that those rights don't slide backwards. I think there's also
I
a different.
I don't see
I,
that they will.
yeah,
I
but
think they fought the fight and they won. And even the hardline evangelical community, with the exception of the Westboro Baptist Church, has at least conceded, if not accepted.
Right, conceded. The point is if you understand where the source comes from, and Bill, you seem to have a very good grasp of where it comes from.
I'm
that
old.
Hypersexuality is part of the culture. It's part
Oh
of
yeah.
what put the revolution forward. But like 1984, like the book, you never know when the revolution should stop. And that's what happened in the book 1984, and that's what's happening here. Sometimes you have to stop the revolution, stop to see where the steps you've taken and how far you've come, and to see if the progression still needs to move forward.
Well, and just to add to that, I agree 100%. And in America, and I think Canada as well, and most of Western culture, I think that there is a perfect storm of the 1984 model going on, in that we do have the LGBTQ community that they won their fight, and now they don't know where to stop, and they're pushing it forward.
And there's nothing to fight anymore. I mean, of course,
No, but they're
some
gonna
people
keep
aren't
pushing.
accepted. Don't get me wrong. People can be hateful on all levels. There are people that can be hateful
They
and
can.
they don't accept people, and that is their personal, like I said, that was
Well-
where I go back to what I talked with Truth, where I said, look, there's a thing, right, where if you want to accept that everyone gets to speak their piece, then you need to let everyone speak their piece. But I don't think it needs to be publicly. I think that if you have freedom of speech and you want no censorship, right, you have to understand that the freedom of speech includes people who say things you don't like and don't agree with you and they don't like you. Not everyone in the world has to like you. They don't have to agree with you. Their religion could be against it. There's a million different reasons, right?
However, I would say, Kat, we're sitting here as, and I don't know Bill, but I know the other three, as, and I hate to say it, but as Caucasian people. And I know that in the rap and hip hop communities, homosexuality is not as accepted as we're talking about.
Well, you heard Truth talk
You heard-
earlier. Truth was talking about it earlier.
Yeah, I heard Truth talk about it earlier, and I'm just saying it's not. And there are other populations. I know that in the Asian Canadian culture, it's definitely not as accepted. How are you gonna get grandbabies that way? There's questions. So we have to. There are steps and there are processes that need to happen to help support the I call it the alphabet mafia, but the LGBTQ AAIP in our society,
Us.
in our areas. But what the problem is that they're pushing it to the people who already accept. And what we need to be doing is making headway for the marginalized kids that are in populations that's not accepting.
Well, like he was specifically saying that race does play a part in that situation. Like someone's going to come at Lil Nas X because he is an African American man, or and he is gay. Like they're going to come at him over someone that are two women that are just making out on TV. Like they're going to come at him if he makes out with a guy. It's a big difference in that community because race does play a part, and I get that. Like my entire intention, let me just be very, very clear. My entire intention of the topic and the conversation is more about the lengths that people go to and put in front of people that I don't feel like they have a right to do. The sexualization in front of people that have not approved it or don't want to see it or don't feel like that's something they want to be around. Nothing to do with the person themselves. Like it's not about the community. It's not about the pride community. It's literally about the fact that as an adult, I don't want to see it. I don't want my kids to see it. So it doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, if you're upside down, sideways, doesn't matter if you're purple, pink, blue. I don't care. I don't want my kids to see it, and I don't want to see it unless I choose to. So that's the issue that I'm personally bringing up. It's nothing to do with people's choices, what they want to do, if they're being oppressed. I do get it. I really do. And I think that people like, do you, boo boo, do it. Just don't do it in my front yard. I don't
And
want my kids to see it.
Mind
And
if I
what-
take this in a slightly different direction? I was
Just let me
trying-
support what Kat just said there. I agree 100% with what you're saying, and I think you're actually getting the opposite effect of what you want by over hypersexualizing gay pride parade, because people would bring their kids out. It would be far more accepting, and you'd get far more diversity of a population if it was a more family friendly opportunity.
No, I agree with you. I guess that's kind of where I'm going with that, because it goes in the music industry. It's not just this one. I'm not trying to necessarily focus on the LGBTQIA community. Look, and plus sign, I forgot to write that down. Hold on. God damn it.
IPIA.
You know what? I have enough letters. I ran out of paper.
Let's call them
The alphabet mafia.
But what I'm saying is, it has nothing to do with them particularly, them as a people, them as their choices and their decisions and who they love and who they want to be with. It has nothing to do with it. I kind of touched on it earlier. It's a little bit more about the consent of everyone else who is like, I should get the opportunity to veto this, not to veto the movement, not to veto the event, but to say, look, we're going to have a bejeweled green-ass dildo flopping around on stage. I think that is people's right in general to say, I'm not cool with this, because you're not allowed to say that. And I'm using this as an example. It applies on multiple different levels, in multiple different genres, in multiple different aspects. Hip-hop is one of them. Certain communities that are real big on, I see people wearing like skin tight clothing and they walk around because it's cool and that's what they do and it's a cultural thing. Okay, cool. Do you? But I don't want you to I actually saw someone in a gas station, it was almost a year ago, I'm not gonna lie. She literally had on a thong and she walks into the gas station. And I'm just like, the fuck? The actual fuck are you doing?
I was in a movie theater on Sunday night, and a woman was standing in line wearing a bra.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There are levels to what people can accept and think are appropriate, and I just think that everybody should have respect for each other. And if you want to live a certain lifestyle, I'm not saying if you're in Walmart, come on, we've all seen people in Walmart. I miss that site so much. People will do some crazy ass shit and you just go, what the fuck? And you'll move on. But when you say, you have to look at me, you have to accept me, and you're not allowed to say anything. You have to say you are the wonderful person and everything you wear and what you're doing is wonderful and great and fine. In fact, let me bring my kids over to watch you because this is the way it should be. That's where I draw the fucking line. That's my problem. That's kind of where all this stems from. Is that consent.
And
Good segue so that I can go off on my tangent.
Tangent.
Yes. So I was talking about the perfect storm, and I had only gotten to the alphabet mafia, but it's not just them. You've also got the feminist movement that ran its course. Women have rights. Plain and simple. And believe it or not, despite what a lot of people say, women have equal rights. And I know that's not popular to say, and I know a lot of people can find ways to jump on me and say, but no, there's a gender pay gap and this and that. Talk to Ben Shapiro and
Can I
any number of
clarify
other
on that,
people.
on my opinion on that, just for 1 second? I promise it won't be long. I think
Okay.
the issue with people still thinking that there is a feminist movement necessary, that there's a pay gap, is because of whoever has chosen someone else. Let's say someone says, look, this dude has been a CEO, and they hop around, you know how they do that. We watch Undercover Boss, y'all. Like, they've been a CEO at 5 different companies, now they're coming into this one and they're checking it out. It's a thing. And, you know, men, they get all like manly, and if you bring a woman in there, they get all, I'm not gonna lie, we get offended, y'all. Men are like, oh yeah, artists talked about this, the locker room talk and all this stuff, and they go golfing, and they do their guy stuff. So some companies tend to hire men. That is the company's choice to do that. If you were in the same role, you would make the same money. However, if you get passed over because they didn't choose you, that's on the person that didn't choose you, not on the pay rate, if that makes sense. They passed you over as a person. They didn't pass you over and say, okay, you're in the same level and making less. They're saying, we're just not going to hire you because we don't want to. Like,
Okay, so I'm going to contraindicate myself. I'm going to say that we need both the feminist movement and we don't. As a woman who has pushed through in the STEM fields, I've seen my mentor had to fight so hard to get where she was, and I had to fight hard to get where I am. And I see what happens to graduate students my age, female graduate students, who still get picked out, and I actually fired a guy 2 weeks ago over making passes at my grad students. So it still happens. It still needs to be there. At the same time, why do I
making passes at women in the workplace
is
should
common,
be fired.
but it's common in STEM. It's accepted. It's because you're in a male-dominated field. So what I'm just trying to say, and it's just the same, the opposite. I'm also around nurses all the time, and male nurses get picked on.
Yeah.
agreed.
So it happens both sides. So that's why I say we need it. But then on the opposite side, as I said, I tend to be more male. Kat will say, I have a dirtier mind than most guys. I can handle locker room talk. And
Actually,
maybe that's
most women are.
and that's
I-
maybe why I do okay. But I also say that if there really was a pay gap and women were just as equally qualified, why wouldn't you hire all women at 75% of the amount? So the pay gap holds no water, because if you were a company and you had equally qualified people willing to work at 75%, you would just hire them. So there's obviously
Yes.
other issues at hand. And the issues at hand are things like children. I don't have children. I don't have a husband. I purposely have made those choices to get further along in my career. But those are choices I've made.
King, I see you.
I see them too.
I see them. Anyway, so I just say that there needs to be some support of women getting into different roles and different positions, like supervising a lab or making sure that graduate students are covered and people coming in, because I know that my mentor definitely wasn't covered. And so just the watching, because there are areas and teaching and nursing for males that they go in and they get picked on. And why would you want to stay in a job that we already have problems keeping people in? We need to be more caring and considerate about people who don't fit traditional roles.
No,
And I can tell you that as someone else in the STEM field, aside from being a pastor, I'm also an electronic engineer. So, and I work with women, and I love the women I work with. Not on that level. I just enjoy working with them, because, dang, some of those guys are just hard to look at.
Hey, King,
I know that's a horrible thing to say.
let me go back. Let me just tell him. He says, so is the too far topic based on catcalling in the workplace? It is not. The original topic, what started this all, was the post when it comes to Christina Aguilera and wearing the flaming, bejeweled green dildo jacking off on stage in a non-adult only venue. right? And what is actually too far when it comes to whether you're celebrating or trying to push a movement, or what is too much, like what is not okay. And it does stem into other topics, because that's the whole point, is I didn't want to focus necessarily on, hold on, LGBTQIA plus rights. I wanted to,
Yay!
yay, look at me go. I wanted to show that it's more about what is okay and what you can consent to and not consent to. How and then what we were, with the tangent we went on to, was feminism and LGBTQIA plus rights. How did they merge when feminism is about, I'm a woman, you're a man, you make more than me because you're a man and I'm a woman, and then they merge with a movement that is all about I can be whatever I want to be when I want to be it. It's not saying anybody specifically is a problem. It's not saying that loving who you want to and being who you are is a problem. It's saying sexualizing that, putting it out there, using that as a way to push their agenda, push anyone's agenda. And this is, if a heterosexual person goes, like I keep saying, in the middle of my street, helicoptering their fucking dick around, I'm gonna hit them with the hose and the cops. Like, it's gonna happen. That's kind of where all this came from. So you're up to date now. And anybody that wants to jump in, Kitty wants to jump in again. Jen jumped out. Feel free to jump in.
I'm getting ready to
That's fine.
jump out
I get
after I finally finish my tangent.
No, finish your tangent, because I'm just letting. Oh, and they all have their hands up again. Cool. Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, so and the last of the big groups. Feminism, because you had your first wave feminism, which was the suffragette movement, and I could go into massive detail on that and how that was actually driven by men, not women, trying to get additional tax revenue into the government because they were sponging off of that. Then your second wave, which successfully got women's rights, it was the tail end of the suffragette movement on up till more recently, because the feminist movement has very long waves. And then we've got third wave feminism, which is in the same boat with the gay pride community, the alphabet mafia, in that they have achieved what they were after, but don't know when to quit. So now it's come to, okay, we want more. So we've gained equality, and now we want more. The alphabet mafia gained equality, but now they want more. And now it's going to get real unpopular, and please forgive me. This is not hate or anything like that. But the Black American rights movement that gained equality and now seems to be pushing for more. And we're seeing that with critical race theory and all these other ideas. And they're all hitting at the exact same time. And we're seeing that with the extroverted gay pride events and the BLM movement, and even the third wave feminists with their pink hats. And it's just people who had a cause but might have missed the original, but they still want their time to shine, and for some reason find themselves marginalized. But I think a lot of that is just coming from mainstream media narrative. You know, a lot of it's not real.
Kitty says she has a thing to ask. It's not about the, hold on, LGBTQIA plus movement, but it stays on topic. Cool. Kitty, you're in here, right? Feel free.
Yeah, I'm here. I just wanted to let Bill finish.
Thank
so going back to the how far is too far thing, and adult
Absolutely.
activities happening in a non-adult venue. I have a question about that. So,
Is it
Aslan
directed
Kills.
at anybody in particular,
No,
or is it
no.
just in general? Okay. Just
It's
making
in general about a band.
Okay.
So, Aslan Kills. We know Aslan Kills is horrorcore. And, you know, when I went to the concert, it was Motionless in White, Black Veil Brides, and Aslan Kills, right? I didn't know a lot about Aslan Kills. I didn't know that their concerts got as graphic as they did, I guess. So, but there was no warning either, right? Like, there wasn't people outside saying, like, oh, this is going to be graphic, blah, blah, blah. And there was kids there too. Is that appropriate? Like, for that type of situation too? Like, how do you feel about that, I guess?
I don't think it's okay because okay, so here's the thing is that it is this is just going to be me going on a rant for a few minutes. Hopefully I'll keep it short. I'm trying to. I promise y'all. I don't, but I try. It is a parent's job to protect their children from things that they don't need to see. They don't need to see about death, and they don't need to see about horror and being scared to like look out the window and in a mirror. They don't need to know about Bloody Mary when they're little. They need to be protected and safe. That is the point.
Yes.
Is to just be a fucking kid. That's the point. That's what you should do as a parent, in my opinion. I'm not saying I'm a perfect parent. However, I think bringing your child, okay, I get that people bring their kids to the bands that they love because they love the bands and they think that they're cool and they want their kids to like them too. But I think that there is a point where the gore or the explicitness or whatever is above and beyond what a child of that age is really capable of processing in a common sense manner. So if your child, right, still asks you for simple things, I'm going to totally out my youngest. I yell at her almost every day. She wipes her ass and throws it in the trash can. I'm like, why? Throw it in the toilet. She doesn't do it. I can't get her to do it. That's common sense. You don't leave like shit in the trash can because now I have to take it out every night. It's not just like Q-tips and like, you know, a cup from washing your mouth after brushing your teeth. You now have fecal matter in the fucking trash can. I have to take it out every day. Flush it. That's the toilet. It's the job of the toilet. I can't get her to stop. At this point, she's not capable of processing that horrorcore is not real, that it is an act, that it is not a real thing and not have nightmares. Therefore, as a parent, my job is to protect her from that, and I would never, ever, because you know her age, I would never bring her, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about it. King. Females and tampons and garbage cans, instantly pukage for me. Here's the thing. Like, I live in a house full of all girls at this point. I don't use them. However, my teenager does. For the day, okay? It goes in the trash. That's fine. That's like, you know, you deal with it. You handle it. It's that. Now, it being in their stuff on the ground in front of you, or that's different. Like, we don't need to get into all that, but I think it's a pukage for everyone, bro.
I've been married for going on 29 years. I got over it.
Congrats. King, how many grocery bags do you have, man? Do you really have that many? You don't know. I don't want to hear it. Like, stop. I get it. No, I get what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying you just don't have that many trash bags or grocery bags. Nobody does. Put your hand up, bro.
I can't wait for this.
There you go.
Yeah. Like, if
Listen,
I knew.
you really want to know how many grocery bags I have?
Welcome in, King. I appreciate it. Hopefully, we're going to stay sort of kind of on topic, but...
No, you're fine.
No.
I didn't derail. I just did a slight diversion, but it was adjacent.
No,
Well,
adjacent
so
is fine.
I'm trying to stay on topic here because the link I sent you, I don't want to get into like depths of it because I can sit here for fucking hours and it eventually pissed me off because of the topic. But it kind of goes into the feed of what Christina Aguilera did. So
Mm-hmm.
in that link that I sent, it's also posted in the thread that you
Oh.
invited me to. They talk about how the industry puts these images out in the world and it makes children feel like that type of content is normal.
It's
And
called grooming.
exactly. And a real life situation that happened with me. One of my friends has like 5 kids, and they're all different ages. A couple of them go to different schools, and the other ones do. A couple of them go to 2 different daycares. Um, the one day, his little kid come up to me, and I mean, I don't know how else to word this, but started motorboating me. And it's like, oh yeah, I seen one of my uh I forget what he said, the little kid said, but he's seen one of his teachers or whatever, daycare people, do that to his wife. And oh, he turned and told the kid, "Oh, we're just playing around." Like, no, that's not okay to do in a fucking daycare. You know what I mean? Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss.
You can cuss. No, here's the thing. My son, who's now an adult, okay, he's 18 and graduated from high school. Shout out Daniel, love you. He'll never watch this, I promise you. When he was in preschool and like the daycare, right? I got a call from a teacher and they're like, "Hey, so the teacher was walking by and your son smacked her ass." And I'm like, okay. And the reason is my ex-husband was really big on the whole, like I'd be trying to get something out of the oven, right? So, boiling hot, oven mitts on, bent into the oven, and he would like sincerely,
Yeah.
like almost knock me in like the fucking Hansel and Gretel witch, right? Like he would like, and my kids would see that. So that's one of those things that you remember and like, hey, this is not cool. You can't do that in front of them. They're little sponges. So when
Exactly.
he liked the teacher, right? So when the teacher walked by, he's like, whoosh. He just smacked her ass. And she's like, that is not okay. And he's like, I don't understand. Daddy does it to mommy. Like, yeah, it was the whole thing. So I get that. I really do. Like, you just can't. There's some things, and that's the point of being a cohesive, common sense parent, or an auntie or uncle, or godfather, godmother, or community member. When it comes to children, there is a line, and you cannot cross it. You should not cross it. And I don't care what your preference, your inclination, your whoever you care, love, fuck. I don't give a shit. My kid shouldn't either. It has nothing to do with them, right? And so that's kind of the whole point. Is it's like there's no reason to sexualize all this stuff. There's no reason to convince people. There's still a fight for feminists. I get that there's a point where people are still fighting on that level. I get it. However, do your children need to know about the feminist movement when they're 6? No, they don't.
Yeah.
No.
Well, see, and you guys are talking about the LGBT thing. Like that going too far. I feel, in my personal opinion, I feel the reason that they started adding extras and this and that and the other is because people feel they need to be included in something to feel important. And I feel like it
Absolutely.
comes down to a mental thing of being involved in something that's huge. And that's kind of a common factor in today's life. It has to do with the internet. Everybody wants to be involved and noticed and part of something important.
And I'll circle that back to what I keep saying about when it comes to people. The most dangerous thing we have done in the last 20 years is giving everyone access to everything. So instead of, there was a tornado when I was living in Kansas City, let's just say. There's a tornado in Bonner Springs, and I live like 20 miles away. Oh my God, that's crazy. Or when the Joplin tornadoes hit, I lived in Kansas City. It was a big thing. It potentially was national news. However, what happened in your community, the games, the schools, the academics, the football teams, the library, all of that mattered. Now, you have to know everything about everyone in every state at all times. So people are overwhelmed with this plethora of information that is freaking them out, and they are not equipped to handle. And I'm not going to lie, there are very few people that are equipped to handle all the problems of the world at once, right?
Yeah.
And so, because they feel so small, because now their world is so big. It used to be that your world was your community, the people you fucked with, your friends, your family, your school. Now, the world is everybody. And instead of it being like, I live in New York, it's about New York. I live in Kansas City, it's about Kansas City. I live in LA, right? It's, I'm anywhere in the world, and everything in the world I can find out about. It's overwhelming. So you feel so small. And
Well,
people
and
want
that's
to
like
feel important.
I forget who I was talking to the other day, but I can start a rumor about you, Kat, in New York, and send it to somebody in California, and before you even find out about it, it's already blasted all over the fucking internet before you can even like prove your side of the story and why it's false. And that's another big issue of going too far. Like people do that just for the to be noticed.
Well, if y'all weren't aware of the situation, and I've talked about it multiple times, about the fight with my teenager and a fellow teenager, and then another teenager recording it. I'm in the
Yep.
video. They cut it off like before I broke up the fight. I'm pretty sure my daughter got it from their feed where they were going live while the cops pulled them over. That was great. Like it got, it's probably over 5,000, 10,000 views at this point, where I'm being called because of my weight. I'm fat, I'm nasty, I'm disgusting. And then, by the way, because I broke up the fight, I'm racist. So it's that
Oh
thing
yeah, of
where
course.
before I don't even have them as friends. I've never seen the video online. My daughter got a copy of it from her friend. That's how I have it. However, I couldn't dispute it, right? I couldn't
Yeah.
say anything, defend myself, because people don't care. They just want to
Yeah.
be noticed. They want to like come up with this content that everyone watches. And there's a fight. Ooh, let's everybody watch.
And unfortunately, you can't do nothing about it because you were in a public setting. So
Well, it was in my driveway, but yeah.
yeah.
Damn it,
Now,
fuckers.
just to add to that, and you kind of touched on it earlier, Kat, with community, with the internet and the way it's become, and we're feeling small, but at the same time, so many people's faces are in a screen for 80% of their waking day that they don't have a whole lot of tangible human interaction. And the idea of community is it's suffering, if not dying. And, anytime that they can get out there and be over the top, dress up in drag and go talk to kids, because, drag queens are regular people. We all love kids. And we like connecting with kids, and we like to pass our information to kids. It's kind of built into us. Not acceptable, no, but I get it. And the same with Christina Aguilera and trying to push her limits, and the folks in the gay pride parade getting over the top to get more notice, because just their sexuality alone is no longer fantastic.
Well, do you
Now they
think
have to step up the game.
do you
It's
think
not
she
acceptable.
did that in order for the shock value to be more relevant? Because maybe
Absolutely.
she's not relevant. She's from the 90s, right? She's from my childhood. She was on The Voice. It was like, you have crazy outfits and like you can do that. Cool. But she's not necessarily relevant. So in order to stay relevant, shock value, right? Because now she's in the media again.
Absolutely.
Got you, Kitty. I'll talk to you later.
I think that's it 100%. And she's got a great role model for exactly that. Or she's got great role models, in man, getting old and having a
Brain
quake sucks. Yeah.
Senior moment. What?
Yeah. Madonna.
Madonna. Yeah, I get that.
Madonna was a great role model for her. I think hasn't Christina
not only been on stage with Madonna, but also worn the cones. Like,
Well, if I
come on.
followed enough to know that, I would be able to confirm or deny. I have no idea.
And Cher, I mean, Cher was in her mid to late 40s, if not 50s, when she reemerged with "Do You Believe in Life After Love?"
Thanks for getting that stuck in my head. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I was about to say she's like one of my favorite, and that's my favorite song. Like,
Oh, love the song. Amazing song.
Sorry.
But the video was her on the deck of a ship with a whole bunch of sailors, and she was wearing skin tight everything.
well, see, and I'm glad you bring this up, Bill, because think about it. So back in the day when like Cher came out and everything, we didn't have the internet, so the exposure wasn't there. You know,
Right.
so they were still doing what we're doing today. It just wasn't as accessible. So that's kind of where the let go is, you know. Um,
Well, I mean, Sonny and Cher were around for a long time until they got divorced. Not
I mean,
sexualized at all.
yeah,
Like, she was on television.
yeah.
She got television spots all the time because they were like ridiculously popular. And then they got a divorce and kind of faded away. He became a politician. She became a mom, and then kind of did some acting, and then decided to kick her music career back in, and sex sells.
Yeah.
Well, it does, but the thing is, like, I guess the whole what I focused on that you said, which is, of course, I'm going to focus on things that agree with what I say. Is the whole concept of, back in the day. I love saying that because now I'm old, so I get to say that shit.
You're still not old.
I'm 39 this month. Next Tuesday, y'all, is my birthday.
You're not. You're a baby.
39.
You're still
Anyway.
a baby. You're not in your 40s. You're a baby.
I'm almost there. But the point is that, fuck. Did you make me lose my train of thought because I'm old? You did. No. What I'm saying is that they latch on to that kind of a thing, right? They latch on to, this is what's going to sell. This is what's going to do well. This is great. But the fact is that back in the day, we didn't have the exposure. Like, MTV was national exposure. That's one thing. However, local bands were a thing. People, you didn't see, and that's a cool thing and a bad thing. Independent artists were local at that time, right?
Exactly.
They weren't
Yes.
national. They weren't international. They were local. And so if you supported those bands, maybe they made it, maybe they didn't. And the way they did was labels, which, yeah, they always fucked people over because they're greedy cunt whores, but whatever.
They suck. Yeah,
But
labels suck.
the point is that, like, that thing you do, we've seen that movie, y'all, that explains it. But point is that it was a community. Everything's about community. It always comes back to community. The moment that you expand your community to include the whole fucking world, no one can take that on. Nobody. Because then the moment you take on the universe, right, you're this insignificant little fucking speck. And when you feel insignificant, you want to feel relevant. When you want to feel relevant, you try to find things that you can be involved in. And when you try to search that out, you go to things that you believe in or things that you're like, yeah, you know, they make you feel that type of way, and you advocate for them. And once you advocate for them, you get involved. And once you get involved, it becomes a movement. All these people, right? It's not about your community. It's about people in, you know, Asia that have a problem with, I don't know, like their rice patties didn't work the way they should. Or maybe they don't have MTV anymore. I don't know. Whatever the case is, it's no longer something that is obtainable, accessible, and makes sense. It's no longer something that you can do anything about. So if you cannot do anything about anything, you feel insignificant, right? The moment someone accepts you to help out in any capacity makes you feel special. So people will become allies. All of a sudden, it's all about this because they accept me and they're going to let me advocate for them, and now I mean something. My life means something. Just fucking go to the library, bro. Like, it's not hard.
Shout out Elsewhere community.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Because that's what you're talking about. It's like you've got the broad spectrum. You've got the world, the whole world, which is too big, and we wind up making our own little communities because community is small.
right, but for the right reasons, right? Like, there's lines that people should not cross. There are things that are too far. There are things that are not okay. And people need to say something or do something or use their feet as their vote and walk away from it.
See
And
something, say something.
well, that's what, exactly. Like, I
Oh, but
literally,
now we all see, and
but
that's the
but
problem.
nobody wants to say anything. People are scared to say anything because if you attach a label to something that you disagree with, you're no longer allowed to say anything against it. So if, for example, the LGBTQIA plus community does something and they mark it as pride, right? So they label it. They say, we endorse this situation. We endorse this parade. And me and my kid are like, you know what? We wanna show up and be like, hey, let's get some candy from the floats and let's just do our thing and let's be tolerant and show them like we really support you. We think do you, boo boo, right? And then I see someone with their strap-on dildo and a collar in front of my child, I'm gonna go fucking ape shit. But I'm not allowed to.
And then start twerking against a cop.
But I'm
Yes.
not allowed to because they have a
I will.
label. And this applies in, this is just one instance. There's a billion labels that are untouchable, right? If you have this label, you're untouchable. You can say whatever you want, but no one can say anything back. To me,
They're not, though.
That's too far, though, because people are scared to say anything because anything they say hits a national level because, again, your exposure is huge and it's exponential and it's more than anyone should really be able to take on. Like I think Truth was saying it, like somebody about their inside out shit pants, like they had a shit stain and they turned the pants inside out. I didn't know people did that because they didn't wash them the day before and they had a crap stain. You can get over that. You can move out of the town, start a new life. You can't do that anymore because people will hunt you down, check everything you do, harass you, stalk you, right? It's too far. Everything's too far because people do the most. It's too much.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong, but I mean, I don't believe in the untouchable topic either. Maybe that comes with my age and the fact that, pardon the profanity, Pastor Bill's gonna cuss. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Let's go.
You know, I reached that point in my life where, and it's not because I'm just so wildly successful, because I'm not. I'm just a guy. I live my life. And what you do in your home is your business. Great. But that doesn't mean that my voice is canceled. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Obviously, I told you about my niece, and that broke my heart. But I wasn't afraid to say what I said. And I'm still not afraid to say it. And I think it's time for the LGBTQIAIP plus alphabet mafia to put it away.
See, and that's the thing. Like, I can't bring myself to completely say that every single time. Like, it's like you're asking me to say my ABCs, you know?
I'm trying. I had to write it down.
I
wrote it down. Skullz is like that pin click with everything. Well, I had to write it down. It's literally, that's why I lean close. I'm like, B as in boy,
like,
TQIA plus. And then, of course, Jen brings in the IP, which is the indigenous person
peoples.
in Canada. No. Like,
see, and if you want to bring up another touchy topic that goes too far, is all these freaking pronouns. Like,
well, that's the
oh
thing.
yeah,
it's just another
but
image.
that's
It's just
part of
another
the
label.
same. It's still part of the same peoples. And what I was saying earlier,
Getting at
that
earlier, yeah.
they've run their course. They've gotten the equal rights. That was the goal, to gain equal rights. Well, they got them. They're recognized.
They're a marginalized community. They have the same rights. A man can marry a man. A woman can marry a woman. And they ran out of fight and started inventing things to fight for. It's like, well, we got away with this. Let's go with this.
Is
Exactly.
that a search for relevance again, where you no longer
Absolutely.
have a fight to be involved in, therefore you need to create one? Now, here's the thing. I don't mean offense when I call somebody something wrong. When I mispronounce people's names, it just is what it is. However, like, y'all know my stance on pronouns. I mean, you're in my Discord, so you get it. A lot of us have them.
Wait, what?
Exactly. I mean,
I don't even remember what mine are.
I have to go check, but I don't think you have. No, you have roadkill, but you don't have a.
I have roadkill.
But you don't have
Yes.
a pronoun like indication there. But
I do on Brandon's page, and I think it's Your Highness or something like that, and my liege. I don't remember.
Mine
Shout
for a
out.
while there was King. What the fuck?
Because I identify as royalty and wealthy.
Well, I actually was telling people that they should name the mod crew in Brandon's server as Royalty and Rulers, and y'all know why. If you know his music, you know why. It should be Royalty and Rulers. But, and Tom should be, what is it? Savages and Shooters.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
like when people ask me, well, what pronouns do you go by? And I'm like, I go by whatever the fuck you want. Just don't expect me to answer you every freaking time. And you can like expect me to think that I'm here talking to. Address me by my name.
Like, you have a name. Like, that's the thing. Why is it so important? Like, all the time people like mispronounce. Like, I have people that they are on the live and they're like xxKaTxx. Okay, xxK. Yeah, that's my name, bruh. That's what it is. Like, go feel free.
Yeah.
Like, do I be like, oh my god, you mispronounced my name, how dare you? I don't do that because, you know why? In the grand scheme of things, does it fucking matter? The point
Yeah.
is, like, everything boils down to the opt out, right? You have the right to opt out of every fucking thing or opt in. So you have the right to opt out of places where you don't feel comfortable. You have the right to opt out of labels that you don't agree with. You have the right to opt out of seeing or click off the TV, right? When you see something, you're like, oh, that's not for me, right? So, like, there's a whole thing about that. And I think that anyone that believes that you have to opt in because they said so is wrong. Period. If you say, I have to agree with you at that moment, you no longer, your opinion doesn't matter to me anymore. The only thing that I think is the consensus that we all can agree on is that kids should not be fucked with, right? And that you have the right to opt out of things that you don't feel comfortable with. That's that simple.
See, and that's like that video that I linked into the thread. She even states in there, you're a child essentially until you're 18, you know? Like even though it's categorized as, preteen, teenager, this, that, and the other, in the system, you're still considered a child until you turn 18.
Right. And that's because we have to have some kind of system that determines, because, you could be like, well, you're an old soul at age 8. That doesn't mean you're like marriageable. Like, and you can go into all these different levels of the fuckery that we don't necessarily want to talk about here. However, point being is that I'm absolutely fucking sure, because I'd like to keep my channel, thanks.
I like to
talk
keep my
about
sanity.
dildos and everything else.
Because you want to hear me fucking rant, like bring my kids into it. Like, okay, so this is not common knowledge. Some people are aware of this situation. I had somebody that I knew, right? I knew 10, now it's been, I don't even know how many fucking years, like 12 years ago. I left my ex-husband, I moved to Texas to like start over, and then my dumb ass went back. In the meantime, I dated a guy for like the rodeo twice. We went to see Darius Rucker. He took me to a bar. My house tried to burn down, my mom's house, the one that I'm in right now. The Toyota spontaneously combusted and like went into the garage and set the attic on fire. So my kids were there, right? So there was a whole thing. We go back to where my ex-husband was to try and work it out, and it doesn't matter. I come back, right? I come back to Texas after moving from Kansas City to Florida to Texas. This is literally like 7, 8 years later. I get a message from this person, the same person who realized I was back in Texas and wanted to hang out, take me out, whatever. I never really went there. I'm like, not really, I'm not really interested. I'm really doing myself at this point. I wouldn't answer
No
because
one does you like you.
well, everyone has the right to be like, you know what? I get that people are offended if you leave them on red, right? I learned that from Skullz. Thank you, Skullz, for informing me of on red meant you read it and then you don't respond. I get that. I usually read people unread, or I don't read it at all. I look at my notification, I swipe it away, and I move on. He would contact, at the time, my daughter was like 13 years old. What's your mom doing? What's going on? I'm like, that's kind of stalkery. Okay, cool. He had a kid. We went to Schlitterbahns. We went to the water parks. He would hang out once in a while. And I'm just like, I just am not in that place. I'm not interested, right? He's under indictment at this point for requesting sexual pictures from my child at this point. So I handed that case to them on a platter, right? The moment you introduce my child into the equation, you're fucked. Like, that's it. That's not okay. And as long as my child still needs me in that capacity, they're still my kid, right? I'm always going to defend them. So
That's the way it should be, though.
the fact that people need to put these sexualized shit in front of anyone for any reason, feminist movement, BLM movement, pride movement, KKK movement, for, any movement that you can possibly think of, is the moment that they lose any consideration from me whatsoever. My kids are precious, and you don't get to treat them in a way that is degrading or negative, and you don't get to take advantage of them. My kid wanted $200. Of course she fucking did. She photoshopped boobs and she sent them so she could get $200. And then she felt bad, and she told me like 10 minutes later. I called the police. See what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and I returned the
My
money.
Discord's about to crash. I'm gonna go ahead and leave.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I'll be listening and though. Later.
But when someone does something like that, and my kid felt bad, and I immediately called the police, and it's a whole thing. It's been going on for almost 2 years now. Because when there's one, there's another. That is completely unacceptable in my book, and that is a subject that I've tried to be very kind of delicate about.
Isn't that a hanging offense in Texas?
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like,
Texas has some different. There's the laws, and then there's the laws that are ignored. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
No, I get
Like, my
I'm just
one of
saying,
my
there's
cousins,
there's
her
a
husband
line.
hit her. I'm from Texas, you know that. And and one of my cousins, when they were dating, it was made clear by the males of the family that if you lay a hand on her, your life is now forfeit. And sure enough, about 2 years after they got married, he threw hands. And the women dealt with it, strangely enough, because they knew the guys would probably go to jail, which they wouldn't.
Well,
'cause
here's
it's
the thing.
Texas.
Disclaimer, y'all. Call the police. Just saying. We'll just put that out.
Oh, no, the women actually, it was kind of impressive based on the recount that I was told, is that the aunts and mama all got together and went over in the biggest trucks they had, which in Texas, that's big.
Of course.
Loaded the trucks up themselves
and you know, uh, the young gentleman was informed that the relationship was over, and he would not ever have contact with her again.
Well, see, that's good
With
family
extreme
backing you up.
prejudice.
That's good
Yeah,
family
I
backing
mean-
you up, because I don't. My children, unfortunately, sadly, do not have that. They have myself and my mother. That's it. Their father's family, though there are one, maybe two, that I can say are trying and good people. The rest of them are legitimately like buried into their own crazy ass backwoods lifestyle that I want nothing to do with. That's where the whole bad juju comes up with Florida. So my children don't have, like, my daughter didn't get to go to the father-daughter dance, all that stuff. So, like, I get that if you have a good solid, that's your community, right? There's your community right there. Is the aunts showed up, the family showed up, they showed up for their family, and they were there for them, and they were there to make sure that they protected them. When someone doesn't have that base, they try to find it, and people are like, oh, I'm good, I don't need nobody. Y'all, guess what? I say it all the time. I'm good, I don't need nobody, right? Guess what? I have y'all. Because I need a community.
You do.
That's the thing. I need a community too. Whether I'm like, oh, I'm strong, I'm a single mom, full-time job, I do this literally mod or live 7 fucking days a week. It's not a joke. I do that. However, I'm strong. I don't need nobody. Of course I do. That's why I have y'all.
Oh, that's the reason I'm here.
I need a community. I need people that I can mess with, that I can talk to, that I can be honest with, that I can show love to, that I can, pour out everything I have in my soul and my heart and resonate with. By the way, what's up, Wolf?
Hey, what's up? What's going on here? What are we doing?
Oh, hey, buddy.
Everything. We're doing everything, bro.
I see I missed a thumbnail for you.
Well, it's all good. You see my ratchet ass thumbnail. It had Truth on it earlier, but I took him off because he went to bed, which is cool because he hasn't been feeling good. But legit, I was like, I'm gonna make a ratchet ass thumbnail.
My bad. I've had a day and I didn't check in here at all today.
Well, no, but you
You're good,
have
brother.
every right to not have to check in. You are not required by any means to be at the beck and call of anybody, except your own fucking kids and your family, right?
Yeah, but I like when you have nice thumbnails.
Hey, my thumbnail is fire, bruh.
Your thumbnails are fire.
No, not this
But
one.
not as fire as that new intro logo.
Oh,
That
thank
new
you.
intro that you put, that you made, amazing.
Appreciate it.
The one that Wolf did for artists?
It's the one you put on IG.
Yeah, that one specifically had artists in it. That Wolf did that. By the way, y'all, if anybody doesn't know, and everybody should know, everything graphically that I do awesome is because of him. He does all of my graphics, all the promo videos, all of the Instagram like pictures and the stories, like the ones that are long, the ones that are squatty, the ones that I post, the ones that I put in Discord, the ones that I have when I'm live. He does all of that, and the promos especially are fucking fire. He does all of it, and he deserves every piece of attention for that he possibly can get, because I cannot even tell you how amazing that they are and how really badass he is at putting those together. So that's where that comes in.
Thank you.
No, seriously, like
you.
the most recent one was Artist. That was last night. That's the one, Bill, I saw that you commented on. That one was
Yeah.
specific. He makes them custom made for the guest.
I love that one. That's just the one. That's the one.
No, it was
And I
badass.
waited till he was here before I said something. That was strategic.
Well, he deserves it. He
appreciate it.
needs
I
all
knew
of
who
the
made it.
shout outs that he can get. And he needs people to know about his music and what he can do and give him a little bit of love for that, because I know I appreciate him to the ends of the earth.
I appreciate that. Thank you. What are you guys actually talking about tonight? I haven't caught any of this, but I
think
just jumped in here and
branched
raised my
off.
hand.
We have branched off. It started with the Christina Aguilera that's in the thread in my server, which was the big fat bedazzled dildo at a Pride concert where she went to it was not an 18 and up. It was a family, like, it didn't differentiate between being family friendly and 18 plus. And she was on stage with a big ass dildo mimicking masturbation and all kinds of stuff. So, that was like too far for me, and that's where the whole what is
this
too
is
far.
right up my alley here. I see.
What, dildos or masturbation? Which one are you latching onto, man?
I'll take either.
I was gonna go with
I'll
yes.
take responsibility. Maybe I shouldn't have raised my hand when I came in here.
But no, it also it applies across many different levels and many different there are, the point that I was making is community. The point that I was making was the labels make it so you're not allowed to say this is not cool. Like, you have to accept the behavior because of the labels that are affiliated with it. And I think that's wrong. And I think that the fact that children could potentially be exposed to that, I think that that's wrong. And I think that no matter what your label is and the context is, the same principle should apply. And the hypocrisy is bullshit. Like I keep saying, if somebody's at the corner of my street with their wang out doing the helicopter, I'm going to put a hose and call the cops. Like, that's going to happen.
I'm doing that right now.
Oh, you are? Okay. Don't turn on your camera. Not like you're going to be on the live, but I don't want to see that shit.
I'm kidding.
But that kind of that went through all different kinds of tangents that we've talked about, different kind of aspects of it, different, perspectives, and I've been bringing people up in order to give their take on what is actually too far when it comes to some of this. My purposeful opinion is when it comes to non-consensual sexualization. In other words, I don't get to opt out of it because of a label. That to me is not okay. Right. Like do whatever you want. I just get to say I don't want to see this shit. So for it to be put in someone's face and no one's allowed to speak against it because then you're speaking against this movement is bullshit. That's what I'm kind of going with that.
Yeah, well, I caught a little bit. I think Bill had said something about how when you have any kind of ideological or activism, that once the movement reaches a point, that it's basically won.
It's achieved.
But they don't stop fighting. They still think there's things they need to win from it.
Hey, Wolf, can we kind of don't get me wrong.
What's up?
Can we parallel this with people that have been in combat, that have achieved their goal, and now they are no longer in the military or combat, and they still have the mentality that they need to fight for something, but yet they've been kind of left out in the cold. Like, they are used to this lifestyle, they're used to this fight, and they have to fight, and then all of a sudden, there's no more fight to have, right? Where does that turn?
Kind of, but I would. The thing is that I would say though with that is that the main difference between those two things is in. I would say that a lot of people who've experienced combat, they've experienced like a real struggle or suffering, whereas I believe at this point in our culture, much of the activism is engaged by people who aren't really suffering or struggling.
Their perceived potential suffering that they're not actually experiencing. I agree.
Right. Now, as far as like, continuing to, and now, you know what, actually, I would say it's quite a bit different though, too, because a lot of, from my experience, a lot of what it is with guys that, have experienced a lot of combat, it's not so much the fight, it's the things that come along with that. When you have such a singular focus, for example, like you're talking about, like community, all right, well, the type of bonds that you create with somebody, in life and death situations are like bonds you don't create anywhere else, not even with children.
Right. And, I get that.
Some people may be offended by that, but because I've admitted this before, there's guys that I've known for a couple months, that at a certain point in time, if someone were to put a gun to my head, I'd say I love them more than my own kids. And it's not because I don't love my kids. It's the two things are completely different.
Right.
So I think when it comes to the type of things that like veterans deal with, especially that have, you know, actually like it's seen some serious combat and stuff, it's not so much the fight that they are looking for, it's the things that come with it, because you can't find those things outside of that type of environment. So I mean, I guess they can kind of parallel in the sense that it's like looking for something that isn't necessarily there or doesn't need to be found. But they actually kind of stray pretty far from each other, I think, in terms of like the parallel between that and like activism and that, I don't know, that type of stuff. I think it's just I think that a lot of the problems, a lot of the activism that we see at this stage in our culture comes from the fact that people don't have real problems. So they need to find problems to they need to find things to be like a struggle for them, because we're still, you know, primordially, like primally wired. We're no different than what we were as Homo erectus 200,000 years ago. So our brains are still looking for danger and looking for struggle and suffering, but we don't really have it. I mean, even if you think of some of the things that we do endure and the things people do suffer, for the most part, most people in Western societies, at the very least, are probably going to eat today, and they're probably going to have a roof over their head when they go to sleep. So the type of things that we suffer in, you know, relative to, you know, what someone may be suffering 200 years ago or 2,000 years ago are not comparative. But our brains are still looking for that kind of stuff. And I think
I'm going to parrot a little bit of what Wolf said, but I'm going to add to it in that when you're talking about people who have been in combat, it's more than the combat itself, because it starts at basic training with being torn down and rebuilt into this other image, and you're turned into a different person. And then there's the training, the additional training, and the just day-to-day routine stuff. But the military, there's a whole lot of suffering. Not to say that military life is altogether horrible, but it's not easy either. Like, even in just the mundane, traveling from point A to point B, you know, you're up for many, many hours at a time, sometimes days at a time, side by side with these people. So it's not just being shot at, fight. It's a whole life of adversity. And then when it's over, you know, you've lived on this adrenaline high for so long, it's hard to come down from that, and it's impossible to replace. But I absolutely agree that foxhole friends will be the closest you will have to any other human being on Earth, and there's no other way to qualify that.
Yeah, and it actually, you just made me think of something else too. It actually surprises me now. I may not see it just because I don't really look that hard. I'm kind of you know, like when it comes to social media, I'm pretty much like a post and ghost kind of person. I don't really dig into stuff, and I don't really look into news or anything like that. But it actually, like when you say that, it kind of makes me. I'm kind of surprised that I don't see more within like the veteran community, especially now, like post Afghanistan and Iraq, more kind of activism swinging in the other direction from the veteran community of, like, you know, all this the different types of act in the world today and in our own country and our culture of kind of a rallying of like the veteran community to be like, you know, you guys don't really know what struggling is. Why don't you just sit down and shut the fuck up? But I also think speaking as a veteran, though, part of that too that I think you don't see that stuff is because like somebody like me, like I understand that the things that I don't like, which I don't think everybody feels the same way I do, but I would say, speaking for myself as a veteran, even the things that I find abhorrent in our society, I also do believe that that is part of what makes our society so great, is that people have the liberty to do things even if I don't like them, and that's part of why I did what I did and swore the oath I did, is so that everybody can be free to do the things they want to do as long as they're not hurting somebody else. So it's kind of contradictory, but I do know a lot of vets who don't really see it the way that I do. They lean a little bit in one direction ideologically, especially on the political spectrum, whereas I kind of look at it like, when I see things I don't like, I see that as kind of like, that's why we're America, is because people
Yeah.
get to do things that I don't like.
Right. Well,
Absolutely.
again, that boils down again to the opportunity to veto something and not participate in something that you don't want to be a part of, and also to participate in things that you do want to be a part of. And that whole saying okay, saying yes, it should be a thing. I think the whole point of that I'm trying to make is that there are times when we're that right to say I don't fuck with this, and it's not because I don't like you as a person. This is not for me, and you want to walk away, and you're not allowed to due to certain circumstances, whatever they may
because
be.
it automatically puts another label on you.
Right. And here's the thing, and that's a good point, because why? Okay, here I'm gonna go on a wild ass tangent. Why don't the veteran community rise up and say, look, we need to march and we need to do this and we need to, put our bedazzled schlongs out on, okay, because then you'd be arrested. Go figure, right? Hypocrisy at its finest. But I'm saying, how come, you don't have women in the military or former military that are like veterans' rights and they go put a schlong on? Like, why can't they? Because people would go crazy and they would be against it, and that's not okay. It's only okay in specific situations, which is the hypocrisy that I hate so much. Like, it's kind of like I keep saying, it's an all or nothing thing. If you want to allow people to have the freedom to do whatever they want and to protest and to advocate in whatever capacities they want to, right? Then you unfortunately are stuck with people doing shit you don't agree with. However, on the flip side, you should be able to walk away from it and say, fuck with that. And they should be able to, you have something that you're really into and you really agree with, you should be able to say, they should be able to say, right, I don't fuck with that either. What's up, Mentexo? I have not seen you. Welcome in. Honestly.
Your why, your whole why thing, I can help with that, I think. And
I'm not part of most of these communities, y'all. I'm not part of most of these communities, so I don't have the experience to be able to speak for them. I'm just asking.
No, but as far as veterans communities, because both me and Wolf are veterans.
Correct. And thank you for your service, which is kind of the thing that everybody says. You all know I mean it.
Yeah.
It's implied. Go ahead.
I think with a lot of the newer separated veterans, meaning they were separated within the last 20 years. I was going to say 30, but no, it's more 20. Most of those veterans are still dealing with their time in service.
Right.
If that makes sense. And trying to find their place in the world and trying to figure out where they fit. And so they are fairly quiet for the most part.
Yeah, if you go to just real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you, but it made me think, like, if you go to if you walk into any random VFW in the United States, the likelihood, well, I'm going to say the likelihood of you seeing somebody under 40 is extremely, extremely rare.
Yeah.
extremely rare to see somebody that's like actively involved in like the VFW or something like that that is under 40 years old.
Well, why
That's
do you
true.
think that is? Honestly, I'm just curious.
Same thing. Veterans, young veterans, are still trying to find their new identity. The military messes you up. I'm
Right.
one of those who will tell you that every single member of the military, regardless of how long they served, except for the people who were out in the first week, or whether they saw combat, are messed up. They all suffer from at least some form of PTSD. Not to belittle or to minimize PTSD from combat veterans. That's a whole different level. But you know, the military is traumatic. Just the first night is extremely traumatic
Okay,
to,
well,
to all service members.
let me ask a
Yeah.
question. Just in this, and like I said, obviously I am not a veteran, and I know that. I'm fully aware. Of course, my father, both of my brothers, my brother-in-law, my grandfather, my son's father, like I could literally, if I really thought about it, list about 10 of them. So it's not like I'm unfamiliar to a point, right? But my question is, I'm just curious. Does some of it have to do with the fact that, you know, when it was in the 70s, 80s, 90s, right? You come home from the military, and there's still a guy's thing. This sounds bad, and don't take this the wrong way. There's still like a guy's mentality, like where you can still like make the comments. Like an artist said this yesterday, where there's like a locker room where you talk a certain way around with the dudes, right? You just do. It's the way you speak. It's the way you act. It's all of that, right? When you get out of that and suddenly that's not acceptable, you're not allowed to say these things, you're not allowed to have that level of camaraderie because, oh, it's not PC, right? You can't say things or do things that maybe in the military, with whether it's male or female, like you just have this kind of camaraderie that is, like we have in the community, where you can just joke around and you can just like heckle each other and all that shit, but that's not acceptable anymore. And that fucks with people. So where they can't really snap, they have no one to really, because you have to be careful what you say and you can walk on eggshells. Do you think that has anything to do with it?
I have a lot to say on this.
No, I'm just curious. Like, I don't know if I'm completely off base. If I am,
no,
I get that.
you're not off base, but a lot of this. All right, a lot of that type of culture, especially like as a male in the military, is. I'm trying to think how to articulate all this without talking for an hour. Okay, I'll give you an example though. All right, now my service had me dealing with a lot of different countries' militaries between training and deployments and things like that. All right, there are militaries in the Western world that are completely segregated. All right, and as in male and female. Now they're not necessarily not desegregated. I'm sorry. There are militaries that are completely desegregated. All right, I believe the Israelis are an example of that.
Yes.
I can't remember. There's some other military that I trained with, maybe a Scandinavian military. I don't know who it was, but they're completely desegregated. And when I say they're completely desegregated, I mean 100%. If you go out in the field and train and there's a platoon in a tent, you're all in the tent together. When you change, everybody's changing together. If there's a group shower, everybody showers together.
Well, like
it's
a locker room in middle school.
Right. Now, in those militaries, in my experience from being deployed with them and training with them, there's just not, the line isn't there because the line isn't there, so there's not a line to think about. So the types of things that you have in a segregated military or a segregated culture or whatever it is, doesn't matter what you're talking about with sports, just society in general. Those things didn't exist. I heard things come out of some of the Israeli girls' mouths when I trained with them that I've never heard an American man say. They were so fucking vulgar. All right. So I think in our culture, in our society, we have created lines that don't need to exist. All right. Now, I'm not talking about like radical things but I just mean in general, these types of lines that people arbitrarily cross with like being PC or not PC and all that kind of shit. They are just that. They're arbitrary. They're constructs. You know, if you go to certain places, they exist. If you go to other places, they don't exist. If you're within a certain community, they exist. If you're in another community, they don't exist, because that's exactly what they are. They're just fucking made up. And I actually think that parallel with the military is actually perfect for that, because I have seen desegregated militaries operate, and they don't have any issues. There's no problems. There aren't guys and girls living together and guys are saying things that are offending the girls. The girls are saying things, like I said, I've experienced them say things that I've never heard a guy say in the U.S. military.
Yeah.
Because they're just, the line isn't there to be crossed, so nobody gives a fuck. I think in our society, whether it's the military or whatever it is, we've set all these arbitrary lines all over the place of things you don't cross into or things you can cross into, or if you're with this community. And just like I think the point you're trying to make, or we're talking about earlier with, like if something's not for you, it doesn't mean that you're against it. That stuff has gone so far out of control, because if you don't say I accept it, it means you hate it. That's how a lot
Yep.
of our society has decided to place labels on people. And to go back
That's
to the
stupid.
thing with veteran activism and stuff, is like, I know, like a guy like me, I see things and I think it's so fucked. It doesn't matter if there's a million of me trying to make a difference. It's not going to make a difference, because it's just so fucked. There's a big misconception, I think, especially my generation, of like OAF, like basically global war on terrorism generation of veterans. We don't really sit in the ideological boxes that a lot of people think we do. And what I mean by that is, just like I said earlier, I believe in everyone's right to liberty. As long as you're not hurting me or stealing from me or encroaching on my property, I honestly believe that you should be able to do whatever it is that you want to do. Now, if I don't want to say I like it, that should be okay. All right? But we don't live in that world right now. If we don't say, hey, I stand with this, then you stand against it. And that's what, and again, this is I think more optics than it is necessarily how people individually feel. There's probably a lot more people that are very neutral about a lot of things, but we see it because we see social media and we see the news and all that stuff. So and I think, like, again, speaking for myself, I look at all this stuff and I just think it's so fucked. There's nothing I could do anyway. So why even fight it? What is it I'm going to stand up and try to do? Because again, I think for my generation of veterans, a lot of people that I talk to that don't know much about the military immediately assume a couple things. They immediately assume I must be a very hardcore conservative, which I'm not. And I see that a lot in this country too. I see a lot of that in this country when it comes to veterans. They immediately think that you stand in a certain place ideologically, which in my experience, I've met people who are all across the spectrum fighting for the same thing, and that is the Constitution. And for people like us, it's kind of mind-numbing to look at what is going on in society. It's like mind-numbing to think that, despite whatever the actual reason for any war that we've involved in was about, to think, well, I swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution, but when I'm home, I just see it getting walked over left and right on a daily basis. Like, what the fuck is the difference? What am I supposed to do at this point? Like, I put my life in danger for it, and that didn't change it. So what is activism going to do to change it?
Right, so there's a little bit more of a commonsensical, like, I just went through hell on earth in order to ensure the right that you get to do these things, and then you do these things, and it's not gonna change it. You're just like, what's the word when you're just like up on stage, like performing the motions, and it's not actually doing anything, right?
Right. Exactly.
And I get that, and I appreciate it. Like, that's the thing, is it's like I have a view on veterans that, because I'm not one of what they could be thinking, I have to guess, like, because I've never been there. And I think, well, why can't, of course, why can't any person just like, I'm going to create a movement? Well, only certain movements are allowed at this point. Only certain
Right.
movements
Right.
are PC and okay. Everything else, you're not allowed to do. You can't go
Right.
there. And unfortunately, that's where it is. As long as, like, there are certain lines that I have personally, that if you don't cross those lines, do the fuck what you want, do what you want, boo boo. I don't have to show up to your rally. I don't have to show up for this. But if you're bringing your rally to me, like that happened
Right.
with the whole riots and all that. That was happening in my neighborhood, where they were
Right.
bringing it. They're like, if we find a white family, we're coming after you. And to me, that was like, that is going too far. That is actually going way beyond the pale, as they like to say. It is not okay. But yet certain people aren't, like, for veterans, and veterans are of every color, creed, and religion, and from every walk of life. So it's not like there's a discrimination there, right?
No, and in fact, like even not even just like cross training like with other countries and stuff. When I joined the army, they were taking basically anybody, and a lot of the guys that were in like the first few years that I was in, they weren't even American. They were I one of my best friends was a Danish citizen who joined the military as part of the system to get citizenship in the United States. One of my best friends was Filipino, and he was in the U.S. military to get citizenship. So it crosses even more lines than just like racial and ethnic lines within the citizenry of the United States. Again, I don't know how things work now, but when I joined, there were people from other countries that were serving in the U.S. military. So it crosses even more lines than you think.
Have a good night, Bill. Get some good sleep. Appreciate you jumping up in here with us. Honestly, this has gone all over the place in every which way, which is what I was kind of hoping for. Just to kind of bring to light all different types of topics and opinions and thought processes. We've been going on for about 3.5 hours at this point. Well, I appreciate you being here.
Is that a way to tell me it's over? Go away.
No, it's not you personally. It's literally not personally. It's just
I
in
know.
general. We're at the point where we have a couple people paying attention, which is fine, and people are going to come back and watch later, which is fine. I just think the participation in this capacity is not going to really happen at this point unless there's like an influx of people, and we're going to just beat a dead horse, honestly.
Yeah.
And I cannot tell you how much I look forward to seeing you on Monday and hanging out with you and having a conversation that is specifically between you and me and Skullz, and like really digging into whatever it is that we want to dig into. I am here for that. I'm just at the point where my kid's like, wash my backpack. I'm like, I'm literally recording next to the washer, so I can't right now. Like,
You're
no.
good. I didn't even know that. Like I said, I didn't even know what was going on. And I've had such a day. I just saw you, and I was like, screw it. I'll go in here and see what's up.
No, I appreciate
good.
it, and your input is really is informative, and it really makes sense, and I truly appreciate it, and don't take this as anything like that. I just, when Bill said that, I was like, oh shit, I didn't even think to look at the time and how long that we've been live. This was on the whim, and Skullz was like, fuck you and your impulsiveness. I don't think he said fuck you, but he was close enough. He's like, damn your impulsiveness. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go live with this subject because, like I said, originally it was the Christina Aguilera, which is in the thread. of her strapping on a bedazzled dildo.
I can't wait to check it out.
In order to support the Pride movement, and it's like, what constitutes as too far for movements, for situations, for whatever the hell is going on, right? Like, there are just things that people just don't seem to understand. Labels fuck up everything. If you can claim a label, you can not only obtain benefits, but you can also ostracize people that do not fit into that category, and you get to say what you want and they don't. Like, you can literally stop people from being able to do what they want to do. Hi, Patrick. I see you, and your comment hasn't popped up, but it popped up on the screen before it popped up. There it is. No, I appreciate it, Patrick. Seriously. I really do. It's just one of those things where, excuse me, I just thought that this topic could potentially go in 95 different ways, and I was hoping it would go in every which way it could go. And I think at this point it kind of sort of has. I had TruthNoLie at the beginning. He doesn't feel good still, so he went to bed, which is fine. But he hopped in with me. Skullz was in the chat, like giving his commentary. I just think that sometimes we need to stop and consider what we allow and where our lines in the sand are, and what we're willing to accept, and what is okay and not okay. And sometimes you have to vote with your feet, right? That's what they call it. You don't show up. If you're going to do this and you're going to take away my right to choose if this content, for example, like sexual content, you bring your family to try and support a movement, and all of a sudden there's somebody with a fucking dildo on stage, you get the chance to walk away, right? You should, but you're not allowed to, because then you're against the movement and now you're a bad person. And I don't think that's fair or okay. Whether it's a pride movement, whether it's a BLM movement, whether it's a Republican Democrat movement, I don't care, a veteran movement, I don't care which one it is, right? If you're not allowed to choose what you participate in, and you're not allowed to protect your children from things that you don't believe they should be exposed to, what the fuck are we doing? Like, that's what I consider the line is for too far. Like, I'm an adult, I can handle a lot of shit, but when it comes to my kids, don't you dare put me in that position. Ever.
I agree, 100%. My kids are where the lines start for me.
No, exactly. And a lot of people try not to draw lines in the sand, to try to be accepting. I try to be really tolerant and accepting of people's opinions, whether I agree or disagree with them, whether I think that they're on point or a little bit, maybe I don't quite agree with it. I try to be respectful no matter what. But the second you involve that element, I no longer am going to be quiet about it. I'm going to speak my piece. It's going to happen. And I think that not letting the families that were there, and I'm not saying, I didn't research enough to know that the families were pissed off, or, oh my God, I got stuck there and they were being mean to me. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying an event where it was not publicized, that it was sexually explicit. Like, you go in a strip club, you know where you're going, they card you, right? When that's not a factor, you're just taking away people's choice of what they're allowed to, with their children or their family is exposed to, and I feel like that's the family's right.
Yeah, I don't think there's any circumstances where my 10-year-old daughter should accidentally see a dildo. Like, that shouldn't ever be an accident. That happens.
No, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. So, my phone just went. Okay.
Fine, I'll talk to you this weekend, Kat, and I'll look forward to Monday, of course. So
yeah. By the way, if anybody didn't know, Wolf is going to be on the podcast with us on Monday. Monday evening. He's going to be here talking to us, and we're going to give him all the props that he deserves for doing everything that he does for us. We appreciate him he's ridiculously the most generous person in the whole wide fucking world. I appreciate you. Obviously, the stream looks ratchet. You know why? Because you weren't answering, so, I did the best I could. And look how that goes. It's ratchet, but it's okay. It'll be fun.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. I'm out of here. Good night, everybody.
All right, everybody, good night. Have a good one. I'm going to end the stream. And thank you for showing up, everybody that was or is in the future. And if you made it this far, it's like 3 hours and 40 minutes in. I fucking love y'all. Anyway, have a good night. Bye.